We'll be live.
Back again. That was a suggestion from Susanna. So
That was it. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
that was
that's
good.
Susanna.
That was
That's
good.
nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like. Yeah.
I mean, I can't even say if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be able to say it now because you said it's from Susanna.
That's why I said it so quickly right after I said that.
Thank
Was because
you.
I
You
knew
saved
that.
me. So
I knew that's how it would work. You can criticize me on the live stream, backstage and whatever.
Yeah.
So, but.
Okay, Susanna is here singing low. Susan is here. Christopher is here. Yeah, guys, please like the video. Yeah, thank you, Christopher, for telling people to like it. Let me produce this audio. Who else is here? Okay, Gasian American is here. Oh, who's this? I don't know this guy.
Hey. Some weirdo hangs around.
Weirdo. Yeah. So we have a lot of questions. I'm gonna let the weird cult-related questions for the end, coming from the fudge. Well, I mean, I might do it in the middle somewhere because I want to make sure more people are here before we talk about it. Okay, so we're starting a cult basically, guys, and I will. I mean, I'm not starting it, but I am being dragged into it, and I am the leader of it. So you'll see how that works out, and you guys can let me know what you think, and you can join our cult. Oh,
you can,
yes.
and just truly, like you said, you were dragged into this, and you have, gracefully and humbly taken the position of a cult leader. So I really do. I commend you for that.
I am actually gonna try to come up with a new version of a cult where it's like better. Like we could do better as a cult compared to what cults are usually known for, right? I'm gonna be but we'll see. Well, I'll let you know.
I feel like being better than most well-known cults is like a really low bar. It's a good bar, but it's like really low, It's like being better than most well-known serial killers, It's like, oh yeah, it's not hard.
Yeah, the Tao of Armin. Oh, hey, Lilypad is here. We have a lawyer in the house. D is here. Always good. Guys, like keep everything legal for us. Let us know if you're doing anything illegal on the stream. Thank you very much. Jamie is here from. Oh, look, we have people are watching us on LinkedIn. That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. Sounds like Armin is being willingly dragged into it. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. It's been fun. Yeah. We'll talk about it. We have questions related to that. All right. Okay, let's go with starting. It's okay. Here's the thing. It's weird because now that we have Fudge asking us questions, it used to be Asian American questions are looking less weird. Because they used to be the weirdest questions, but now we have
the balance has shifted. It really has. Yeah.
So Asian American is asking, what are your thoughts on YouTubers giving snakes robotic legs, revising Yahweh's 5,000 year curse or reversing? Sorry, is this forbidden under any of your competing sects of Abrahamism? I mean, this is okay. Let me actually bring up the article. We're giving legs snakes. We're undoing
it. Really,
Garden of Eden.
In that article, there's like a YouTube video that like follows this engineer who like built this thing, and it's like way too long to watch. I think it's like an hour or something long, but I did watch a good bit of it because it was quite ridiculous. It was very funny. The snake willingly went into this thing, and then it started moving, and it just kind of calmly sat there. It did take them a while, but it definitely worked, and it was effectively moving. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
I don't want to watch the whole thing. I just want to see where the. Okay, wow. Wait, did the snake like understand how the thing works?
No, I highly doubt it. It took forever for them to like.
But how does it? Okay, but it's not in control of the legs, is it?
No, I don't think so. I think it just lays in there, and then the thing just starts moving. So it's not like it's connected to the snake's like movements or anything. I don't think.
That's not very impressive. I thought like they like okay. This is what I thought.
Prosthetic limbs. You're thinking?
No, I thought they connected somehow. This is what I thought happened, right? So I thought they figured out how to read the wavelengths from the
Mm.
snake's brain associated with moving forward,
Yeah.
and they would detect the wavelengths from the brain every
Right.
time the snake wants to move forward, and then connect that to the legs, and the
Mhm.
legs would start moving forward whenever
No,
the snake wanted to move
that's
forward.
way cooler than this. This is still cool in my opinion. I still enjoy it.
Why is that cool?
But
It's just like how is this like engineering? This
well,
is
he
like
built
just
the
a
thing.
motor.
I mean,
I
he
know,
built the
but it's
thing.
like it's just a motor that moves the legs. Like I mean, I'm not an engineer. I could do this. I just
Yeah.
need a tube
Right.
and a motor and
Right.
some plastic legs,
Yeah.
and then
But
that's not impressive at all.
that's what the second guy who built a wheel said. You know, the first guy actually had to build the wheel, and the second guy was like, "That's not impressive.
But
I
they
can make
didn't
this."
build anything. It's just a motor. It's just some legs that move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just put a tube next to
Yeah.
it. That's
I
not
mean,
impressive at all. I am
you're
very
correct.
disappointed. I am very disappointed. I thought
So-
this thing was connected to the snake's brain, and it was like the snake was now controlling their robot, their legs.
So for everybody out there, you know, this is what we're saying. You know, Armin would like the best minds out there to actually get some like electrodes and like, you know, figure out, you know, brain waves of snakes and like really give them legs. Okay. So whoever I don't know what skills are needed to do that, but whatever skills those are, please put them to good use. Because Armin is not impressed by this. So,
not at all.
lackluster,
This snake has no legs. It's just in a tube that happens to be attached to.
But it seems to be. I mean, it seems to be comfortable. You know, it seems to be riding in there. You know, nice. Okay, well. So you're unimpressed, but is this forbidden under Islam? Is this like not allowed for some reason?
I mean, it seems more biblical than Islam related. I mean, I don't remember in the Quran mentioning that the snake had legs before. I think that was more of a Bible thing than a Quran thing.
It's definitely.
It's weird because I read both the Bible and the Quran. Sometimes I forget that especially the Garden of Eden and the Noah story, which parts were in which.
Yeah.
Wait, did you guys have? Yeah, you guys did have that.
Yeah, and there's doubles of both, which is the other weird thing in the Bible. You get two versions of the Garden of Eden, you get two versions of Noah. It's just weird. But yeah, like specifically in that story in the Bible, it does, like, Yahweh does say, like, I will curse you, snake, to never like have legs or whatever. But I also don't think I don't think there's anything biblical that I can think of that really would be like, this is a huge big no or anything, unless you just want to go with the standard, like, you know, Yahweh's in control of all the universe.
No. The thing that so Gagin American is saying, would it be blasphemous? That's the question. Okay, so no, but yes. No, as in there's nothing in the Quran or the Hadith or biblical teaching that will specifically says do not do that, right? But so your mindset has to be on the whole idea. You have to be an additional philosophy to what you could get out of Islam or Christianity for you to see this as blasphemous. And that additional philosophy is that transhumanism and just messing with nature is a satanic plan for humans to basically build the Tower of Babel and, you know, become independent from God. And this whole knowledge, you know, through knowledge, this is all goes back to the Garden of Eden, the apple of, you know, using knowledge to try to become more than human, to defeat God and all of that, and God will eventually overcome, right? And this whole, you know, satanic transhumanist plan, you know, they even think like transgender rights is in line with that. Like we're trying to change things about nature in a way so that we could become better than a bit more than human, and defeat death eventually, and defeat God's plan, and we will suffer and eventually we will be defeated by gods, right? That we're in league with the devil right now. We're doing these things. But again, you can't really get that out of the Bible and the Quran. But there is a whole bunch of people who think like that, including our very own Daniel Hayraju, right? So I don't know what he thinks about this.
Yeah, I would love to get that reaction, just like a 5-minute clip of somebody and just him just trying to go through, what is correct. But good question, D. We wanted a different perspective, so we just swapped sides.
Do you know why I switched sides?
Well, it looks like we're looking at each other better.
Yes, exactly. Look, when you're like this, I'm looking at the screen and I look like I'm looking into the void, right?
Right.
But if we're like this, now that I'm looking at my screen, it looks like I'm looking at you. That's
it looks like there's a connection between our eyes and stuff, like we care about each other. I'm sorry, it's getting weird. Anyway,
let's move on. All right. Oh yeah. So. Okay, let's continue. Let's go with oh my god, there's a lot of fudge questions. Let me do a Higgs question. All right. What's the situation with Azerbaijan embassy in Iran attack? It was followed by an Israeli strike in Iran, it seems. Yeah, things are messy. Things are very messy right now inside and around Iran. So I don't know how to explain this. There's the players right now are Azerbaijan, Iran, Israel, the Kurdish part of Iraq, Turkey, and Russia. I don't know how much time I have to spend to connect all these things together, but I will just do the basics. There was an attack on the embassy of Azerbaijan in Tehran, right? Which is amazing because Azerbaijan is also now has its open its embassy in Jerusalem, in Israel, right? So you can see how things are shifting. So things are getting more and more tense between Iran and Azerbaijan. And the embassy attack, there are different narratives about what happened. Azerbaijan seems to be convinced that it was the doings of the regime. The Iranian regime is like, no, it was just a loon guy. It had nothing to do with us. This was like an accident, which is quite an accident at this time if this was actually coincidental, just like right at this time where Azerbaijan and Iran are having more conflicts about Azerbaijan's closest to Israel. Azerbaijan has been, this is not just a thing that's just happening right now. This is like in line with a huge tension that Iran and Azerbaijan have been having. So if this was just one loon guy that had nothing to do with Iran, it was like it gave Azerbaijan the best excuses to close down its embassy in Iran, and also they're now arresting Iranian proxies in Azerbaijan. They're arresting Shia mullahs and Shia TV producers and stuff.
Wow.
Which they're considered to be puppets of Iran inside Azerbaijan. Like even before this, Shia rituals and gatherings used to be seen in Azerbaijan as Iranian proxies, and like Azerbaijan officials and TV presenters constantly come and like, we need to do something about this religious activity, Shia religious activity in our country. These are like a fifth column or something like that, which is weird because Azerbaijan is a Shia majority country, but Azerbaijan is a Shia country, but they are more secular than Iran when it comes to their government and stuff.
Okay. I mean, I guess I understand that now. It still feels weird, but okay. Yeah, I'm following.
Yeah, there has been a crackdown on extra religious activity in Azerbaijan, and there's a push towards more nationalism and less religious identity.
Yeah,
and,
I mean that sounds.
There's a
yeah, that's good.
That says what
I like the less religious focus of it.
It's a little bit forced though, because the government is pushing against hijab, for example, and like pushing forward more traditional Azerbaijan national clothing. You know how we have those memes about how Islam ruins countries like Afghanistan before and after, and women are wearing very traditional Afghan clothing, and now they're all wearing like single colored Islamic stuff. So Azerbaijan is trying to move in the opposite direction of that, which might look nice and colorful, because they're like, yeah, we don't like these old, and but it's kind of forced by the government. So I don't know how much we could endorse that, right?
That does.
But
okay, all right.
So yeah, there's a whole bunch. Yeah, so Azerbaijan is proving to be more, even though it's both Turkish and Shia. So imagine that, imagine this, right? We have Turkey, which is Sunni and Turkish, and Iran, which is Shia and mostly not Turkish, and Azerbaijan, which is Shia like Iran, but Turkish in ethnicity like Turkey. So who is their ally? Their ally is Turkey and not Iran. So they're leaning in more on their ethnic identity rather than their religious identity. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're getting close to Israel. So the whole religious identity is out the window.
Yeah.
Very close to Israel.
Yeah, definitely. Iran's not going to be super friendly.
Oh, no, this is very scary for Iran. They have Israel now at their border, right? Because Iran was used to brag to Israel that after the fall of Saddam, right, they came all the way to Iraq and Syria. So so Iran was bragging about Iraq and Syria being their proxies now. So basically, this is Iranian soil. So basically, they were telling Israel that we are your neighbors now. We could just drive all our military capabilities right onto Israeli border. But now Iran is losing control in Iraq, losing control in Syria, right? And Israel is more aligned, is becoming closer to Gulf Arab states, which is very close to, which is basically Iran's border from the south, and also very, very close allies to Azerbaijan, which is Iran's border to the north. So Israel is like, how do you like them apples?
So, yeah. I see your proxy countries and raise you a couple.
Right. And now, and also Iraq, which used to be considered an Iranian proxy, the Kurdish part is now considered to be an Israeli proxy. So, and that's why Iran is constantly attacking the Kurdish part of Iraq, and Iraq is too weak to even do anything. Like in normal situations, this is like Iraq is its own country, and Iran is just like throwing missiles at the Kurdistan part of Iraq, and Iraq, like usually that's a declaration of war. But okay, we can't do anything. But there's like no response. Like, I mean, there is some talk, but no actual responses. So now with this attack on the embassy, on the Israeli strikes in Iran is claiming that this came from the Kurdish part of Iraq, and people are like, oh my God, this seems like Iran wants to retaliate now again on the Kurdish part of Iraq. And people are saying like the reason Iran is too weak to do anything else. Like every time it gets attacked, are like, okay, let's bomb the Kurdish part of Iraq, because we can't attack Azerbaijan because that will get us a huge attack on, we can't attack Israel. Like if none of these countries we can attack, we're too weak to attack them, and the whole international community will come down raining fire on us, right? So let's just attack every time somebody pokes at us, let's just bomb the Kurdish part of Iraq because that's the weakest target that we have.
Right.
So the poor Kurds are getting it all the time. Yeah. So Susanna saying it's so pathetic. Yeah,
that's ridiculous. Yeah, they want to show some kind of force. They want to show some kind of strength. So they just keep attacking the only people that they actually have the ability to. That is pathetic.
Yeah. All right. Okay, look at this. Asian American is asking, should and how can we crack down on neo-Yazis? I hope people know what he's talking about. Homeschool networks. Wait, they have homeschool networks?
Yeah. This is a really interesting article. So I know I wasn't familiar with this specifically because this is talking about a network in Ohio that is specifically like teaching Yazism as their policies. But one of the things I do know about in the United States is the patchwork of regulations for homeschooling kids and stuff. So already when it comes to the standards of education throughout the United States, it's broken up by state anyway. So it's like really at the end of the day, what you learn in Texas is not the same thing that you learn in Maine. And that's just weird that that's the case, but it just is. There are a lot of things, obviously, that are very similar, but we don't have federal standards like that, like they do in other countries. And it can even vary by district and county. But when it comes to the homeschooling stuff, basically, you have to check in every so often and you have to provide transcripts and stuff. But what you're actually allowed to teach is really up in the air. And for years and years and years, I mean, decades and decades, types of basically, hardcore Christian evangelical indoctrination type networks and stuff have existed all over the country. And so kids have been in that stuff for a really long time. And I think this is kind of just the newest progression of it, where this group of individuals was like, yeah, we can just capitalize on this really bad system. And yeah, start making Yahtzees.
I thought the education was more standardized in the US and there were like clear line expectations on what you need to teach children. What the hell?
Nope. Unfortunately, when it comes to federal guidelines, those at the end of the day don't really have that much in terms of substance on the ground, because a lot of the actual decisions being made are being done at either a state or literally a city level. And so, like, again, you can go in some states, right? You can go from one side of the state to the other side of the state and just different cities and just receive different levels of education just because of a lot of different things. Not only just, curriculum, but also the actual funding for the schools, because a lot of that is done on like property taxes. So if this school is in a low income area, well, the school doesn't receive funding. Like and again, these systems are even worse. Like when it comes to what you're allowed to teach, you're allowed to basically say whatever you want to your kids and other people's kids in these systems.
This looks like a ticking time bomb. I mean, do I need to be worried?
I think.
Should I panic?
Well, so I don't know. I would put it like, I don't know. I'd put it like above, like ants taking over the world, like ants becoming like conscious and just like collective, all at once. I'd say this is more concerning than something like that happening. Maybe less concerning than like just like an all out war. That it is concerning. I don't know how concerning, I guess, is what I'm saying, but it is.
I think these kids will grow up and ruin everything. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, it's definitely very worrying, but
we already. Yeah. No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that's part of what this article is talking about, is that there were a handful of people in the Ohio legislature and stuff that were basically saying like, we actually really need to investigate this and pay attention. So hopefully that alone will minimize the negative effects, but yeah.
Okay.
It's not good.
Well, no. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm scared. I'm scared because these people will vote. These people will radicals will come out of this and they'll do crazy things, and then it will get a response from it, and then a response from it. I mean, we have already a far right problem in the United States, and this could just add to that. So I don't know. I don't want to be. I don't want to think about it right now because I'm already. We're already like getting attacked. Like liberal values is getting attacked by from so many directions, and I just can't handle losing United States because that's I just wish we had more liberal superpowers in the world, so we weren't so reliant on the United States all the time.
Yeah, and I wish the institutions and safeguards in place in those those liberal
Yes.
institutions were more robust, because we've shown in the last few years, I think, in the United States, like how quickly it really could just crumble. So yeah, we
Yeah.
really showed that. It's like, hey, this one thing here will just, this whole thread will just rip the sweater into pieces. It's like, yeah, it will do that apparently. So
Yeah.
yeah, but you know.
Mm. By the way, Turkey's elections are coming.
Yeah,
The promises from the other side seem to be so good when it comes to restoring liberal values.
let's hope.
I hope they win.
Yeah.
Higgs boson is saying, what do you think is Saudi Arabia doubling the number? I mean, why? Why do you think is Saudi Arabia doubling the number of executions per year under MBS? Is this part of his reform plan? Well, because wait, let me see. Was there a link with this?
I think so. Yeah, it was. It was
No, it
interesting.
wasn't.
I was reading something just the other day about like secret executions that have been happening in Saudi Arabia over the past few years too, where somebody is just in jail and then next thing you know they're just executed. So yeah, I mean it definitely has gone up, and just again another one of those things that's just like, I don't know, why aren't we talking about this? But
all right, so the way I like to think about this is when it comes to progress, okay, when it comes to moving in the direction of liberalism, there are two types of rights: social rights and political rights. Okay, and social rights usually get more attention because it's so involved in our daily lives, right?
Yeah.
But it's the political rights that it really defines the foundation of a liberal society, right? And when a government wants to appeal to the masses that it's moving in the side of liberalism, but it's actually going the opposite direction, it gives you more social rights to you, and it takes away political rights away from you. And the political rights is what gives the people the control to get their social life, social rights, right? So, for example, let me give you an example. Social rights are rights for women to drive, rights to watch whatever movies you want to watch whatever you want to wear, go to concerts, drink alcohol, party, or that kind of stuff, right? Those are social rights. Or be gay, or I don't know, be trans. These are all social rights, right? Political rights are your right to free speech, your right to protest, your right to vote for the politician that you want for you to represent you, right? So when social rights are given to you as a gift, not because you had the political rights to get them, that makes people happy, and that makes people love their dictator. But these social rights are not really rights, because rights are something that you have and you can maintain. Social rights that are gifted from above are social rights that could be taken away. So they're technically not rights, they're gifts. So that's the difference between rights and gifts. They're gifts from the king, and they could be taken as easily as they have been given to you, and they can as easily be taken away from you. The only way these gifts will turn into rights is that you have gotten them yourself and keep them yourself through the political rights that you have, through the freedom of speech that you have, through the your ability to protest, through your ability to have your representative in government. Basically, you have the power to put pressure on the government and maintain your social rights, right? So basically what Saudi government is doing is pulling this trick on you to look like they're doing progress, because they're gifting you all these social rights while taking away a political rights. So this is actually not progress, this is regress, because what you really want to focus on is more political rights. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think it makes perfect sense. It's like you're trying to fix up a house, and instead of replacing the crumbling foundation, you slap some pretty paint on it. The pretty
Yes.
paint is like the social rights, and they're coming in with those and saying, we're look how kind we are, we're so nice, we're relaxing. When in reality, just like Armin was saying, they are stripping your actual political rights,
Right.
which means that all the pretty paint will still be on a crumbling house. It's still, the house is still going to fall. Like, who cares that it got a fresh coat of paint,
Right.
That's like when they said, oh, now we're gonna actually let women drive. How great are we? Pat us on the back. And it's like,
Yeah.
wait, aren't there like a few dozen activists that are still in prison for this shit? Like,
For this, exactly for the same
yeah,
thing.
exactly for this. Like, are you serious? Like, what happened to them? Are you letting them out? No, of course not. So
Yeah. So basically, that's actually a very good example, because women can drive,
Mhm.
but the woman who did the activism for wanting women to drive go to jail.
Yep.
So I get, it's me, the king, who is giving you this gift. The
Right.
people who dared pressure me for it will be punished, because I don't give in to pressure.
Right.
If you have this right to drive, remember, this is because I am being generous, not because you pushed me into this. So again, this whole idea of these, so yeah, women can drive now, but now we have more executions, and and more people being arrested, and more people going to jail, including very, very influential Islamic preachers. We have even the imam of the great mosques going to jail because they said they questioned the. But yeah, so very heavy crackdown on speech, on dissent. But yeah, you get to see Justin Bieber now, so that's cool, I guess. Right.
Yeah. And the WWE makes a regular stop every year. Cool for them. Glad for that. So
yeah. By the way, people keep making fun of celebrities, but we should also look at the other side. Was it Nicki Minaj that canceled? Who was it? They canceled her. I always want to give credit.
Cardi B, Nicki Minaj. It was somebody. Yeah, who was that? Because they did. That was recent too.
And so
yeah, wasn't that?
Saudi, was it Nicki Minaj who canceled her trip to Saudi Arabia? Because I don't want us to just always say oh, why did you do this? Why did you do this? Sometimes we want to say good job, yay, that's good. So yeah, it was Nicki Minaj canceled her scheduled performance in Saudi Arabia, citing her support for the rights of women and the LGBT. So yes, always give credit to Nicki Minaj for canceling that. Thank you so much. So I don't want to just always do the stick. We also should do the carrots, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So
that's true.
Susanna saying yes.
That's good.
Not that she's watching us.
No, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? My girl Nikki, she's always out there watching us. So yeah, she knows about AR, man. She's pretty hip,
Yeah. Lily is saying, "Yay, Nikki!" All right. All right. Let's go with this one. What do you think of Pakistan finance minister saying the economy is dependent on Allah now? Oh, that sounds like they're screwed. Prayers are being recommended to citizens for combating inflation. So this is it all depends on Allah. Means we're done, guys. We're so it's out of our control.
First we had the gold standard. Now we've got the Allah standard.
Allah standard.
What's backing your money? What's giving it actual value? It's God, duh. What gives your money value?
I like how Allah is saying it's that should be something positive, but that sounds very oh my God,
that sounds very bad.
That sounds very bad.
Well, okay, so imagine, so swap Allah for unicorn, right? What do you think of the Pakistani finance minister saying their economy is dependent on unicorns now? It's oh no, this guy is doing a bad job.
We're in God's hands now. So prayers are being recommended. Wow.
Isn't that oftentimes a colloquial for we're fucked? Right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to say that. Said it. I was trying not to swear on this show.
Oh God. That's the what's that song? Is it Carrie Underwood, the Jesus Take the Wheel? That's like basically her saying there was nothing else that I could do. I was gonna die. Everything was just horrible. And so I just had to leave it up to God. This sounds very bad coming from the finance minister of the whole country, right?
Yeah, and it's also the finance. Is the finance minister recommending prayers? Like amazing. Like, can we do a study? Can we do a financial
Oh my
study, say
gosh.
looking the before and after effects of
Yeah.
prayer on the economy?
Do you know how funny that would be if like the economy just tanks? I mean, that's obviously bad for a lot of reasons. Like we don't want that to happen. But I'm just saying like
Oh my
day
god.
one, it's like February 1st, everybody in Pakistan start praying for the economy. Like February 3rd, Pakistani economy in complete ruin. It's like, well, I guess those prayers did not work, y'all. I guess
Yeah.
wasn't sorry about that. But
Yeah. Well, now I actually have to cheer for Allah's prayer. The prayers working because the consequences.
that's
This is the
right.
first time we're on the side of Allah.
It's a first.
Because yeah, I don't want to. I don't
Yeah,
want
no.
to. I don't want to be like. Oh, I hope
Yeah.
Allah is Allah gets your prayers do not get answered because. But guys, situation in Pakistan is amazing because I was like people are saying that the inflation in Pakistan is out of control. Like it's 20-something%. I'm like, Eesh. I think in Iran it's getting to 50% now.
Yeah.
Like I mean, there's an official one and there's a real one, so I'm not sure. But
There are a
yeah,
couple of
things are
countries
looking.
in there are a couple of countries in like South America that definitely have had
Yeah.
not so good. Venezuela definitely for a while. I mean, obviously the entire economy of Pakistan failing and collapsing is not good. That is not wanted. I'm very much hoping they also have other financial things that they're going to be implementing other than just praying. So
Yeah.
we'll see, I guess. But
Hey, so Higgs is saying, what do you think of the theory that Allah is an Arab pagan lunar deity which was adopted to be the God of Islam, God in Islam? I mean, I heard that so many times. I haven't read anyone verifying that. I think there were a lot of deities in Arabia before Islam became dominant, and there were lunar gods as well. I don't know if that was the highest god. I heard Allah was referred. I heard the theory that Allah is basically Elohim, right? Because it's Allah sounds like Elohim, and it could be related to that. I don't know. I have to. I don't know if this is just some bloggers going, just going with this claim and just making it and just sounds cool, or is it actually academic? Some academic analysis behind it that makes this claim. Because I'm so far everywhere I saw this claim, it was just on a blog or a YouTuber saying that. I haven't seen any academics refer to this. So. I'm not sure about that. What do you think?
Yeah, this kind of sounds so of the very limited stuff I've seen on this too. It's kind of sounds to me like it's one of those, hey, we have all these old documents and stuff, and we're gonna pull stuff out of it and make a connection, which doesn't mean necessarily that it's not true. It just means that like it's what we do a lot of time, which is like this post hoc rationalization thing, where after everything is all said and done, we kind of go back and go, well, there's the clue right there. It's like once you've watched the movie, it's like, yeah, you can see the guy put something in his pocket, but we didn't the first time. It's interesting, I think, and I enjoy that type of stuff, right? Where people go back and they go, we think Abraham might have actually been like this or whatever. That's cool. I don't think it changes much in like, even if that were to be 100% proven, I don't think it changes much for most of the believers, right? I think a lot of people would still believe, and that would just be like, hey, that's okay with us. Allah's still real. So
I know Islam is a mix of Abrahamism and pagan Arab rituals.
Sure.
That we know for almost for sure, right? But whether the name came from Arab pagan religions, because we know also that Allah was the name of a deity um, before Islam became a thing, right?
Right.
Which one? And I know there were so many different deities,
Yeah.
but I heard like the Allah before Islam was the deity of storm, like as well, like storm and thunder, or also the
That makes sense.
deity of the moon. I don't know which one of the deities Allah was. I've seen contradictory claims, right?
Yeah.
But the idea that Allah, the name Allah, was taken for what Arabs refer to one of their gods. That is true. Which one of them? There's a debate about that, right?
Yeah, there's definitely some old in the Old Testament, in the more Hebrew scriptures and stuff. There's some stuff that kind of indicates like Yahweh was viewed as like this thunderstorm, like on a mountain, because there's a lot of references to people seeing and speaking with God in a storm on a mountain. Like the two big ones are Moses and Job. Like, so there's some of that too, kind of, that's like, well, it's just this older thing that kind of got formalized. And I mean, a big thunderstorm on a mountain would be pretty terrifying in those days, I could imagine. So yeah, I mean,
So Susanna is asking, what Arab rituals? Walking around the Kaaba. Yeah, especially that
fun.
one.
Yeah.
That is actually so obviously Arab rituals, pagan Arab rituals, that we have hadith and Sirah referring to that and saying like, why are we doing this? Wasn't this like pagan? Even Muslims questioning it. Like we have hadith from Omar kissing the black stone in Kaaba and saying, and he was like, this is definitely like, this is not right. And I telling the black stone that I would not be kissing you right now if I did not see Muhammad doing it. Like, because he thinks this is such shirk, this is so shirky. He thinks like this is so like much like idol worship that he has a problem with it. Like Omar has a problem with it, but he's doing it because he said like, it must be right if Muhammad did it, but I don't know. This looks very pagan to me.
And there's a lot of Christian things like that too. Like so like the book of Mark is very small. It probably was the gospel that was written closest to Jesus's life. Well, there's an edition that is still printed in the vast majority of Bibles that we know was added on later. But that edition is basically the whole section of, if you really believe in God, you'll be able to handle poisonous snakes and they won't bite you and stuff. And like, there's a couple of other things like that. And it's pretty clear that they were trying to incorporate some of the pagan rituals from around them and try to be like, yeah, we do that too with our God. Our God's just cooler about it, Like, I mean, it's what you do. It's how you make your religion more palatable to people.
Yeah, so that it has some local appeal. If it was too Abrahamic, it would be seen as too foreign.
Right.
So that's why Islam had to adopt some of the local traditions.
Right. You guys wrote about donkeys. We have more camels. We'll change donkey to camel. Perfect. Like,
I mean, we have even in Islam the idea that Muslims used to pray towards Jerusalem before they started praying to Kaaba. And the idea was like, this seems too Jewish. And we're not Jewish. Why are we praying towards Jerusalem? And like the idea was like the Kaaba itself seemed too pagan because the Kaaba was associated with the pagan Arab traditions, right? So Muhammad was like, I think it just seemed too not Arab, and they switched towards praying to the Kaaba. And they say, like, you know what, that Kaaba thing that these pagans are worshiping towards, actually, Abraham built that? Yeah. Abraham built that. Abraham and his son, Ishmael, they built that. Yeah. And, and Adam and Eve they met here at the beginning of everything. So it's actually our thing.
That's the
actually
thing
our
that's
thing.
ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
You know, like if you want to claim that like that's the first tabernacle, you know, this is the altar that Abraham. Okay, that's one thing, but to like this is where Adam and Eve met. Like come on, that's ridiculous. Like
So they basically took it. They were like, it was an Arab pagan thing, and they were worshiping towards Jerusalem. And then they're like, yeah, this thing is not selling among Arabs. So they were like, they like their old traditions. So we're like, that Kaaba thing, our guy Abraham, he built it, right? It was like Abraham was like very far away from here,
most likely. Most likely.
Abraham was like, and he just, Hagar and her son Ishmael, when Abraham threw them out of their house,
he did.
Apparently, they just walked around with nothing, and they just found their way in Arabia, even though they were up in, I don't know, Syria and Jordan and around that area. In Egypt. Where was Abraham? He was in Egypt, and then he was in Israel. Yeah. He was in Iraq, but that was very far away. And those back in those days, you can't just like walk around and just happen to come in Arabia. That's a very long distance. So for a slave woman and who has been abandoned by her master and her child Ishmael to just like walk around and then find herself in the middle of a desert in Arabia is far away. It's just so unlikely. And then that's a biblical story. The part that Islam added to it is like, oh, and Abraham one day came for a visit. Like he just showed up for a visit. Like, hey,
he just didn't have anything else to do. Was just bored.
Around.
Yeah, they didn't have PlayStation back then, Armin. So, of course, he's like, maybe I'll just go on this 1,000-mile journey on my own. Like,
just come for a visit. We build the Kaaba together, father-son activity, and then I'll go back to my actual wife.
I like that he's
go back, just come in, build the Kaaba, and then go back to do my thing.
Ishmael, my son, don't forget all that stuff. Hey, did you see what I did to my other kid? Like, relax, man. Trust me. Like, let's build this. Let's build this Kaaba.
Let's build this thing, and then bye. And then like.
But we're the ridiculous ones.
No, but it was an excuse to connect Arab traditions to Abrahamism, and it worked. They bought it, so I guess good job. Yeah. By the way, guys, we're also accepting super chats as questions. If you was, I forgot to mention that.
We do.
People keep saying hi something, because we have a member here called something I don't remember. It's always very weird because people are like, I always have to like something I don't remember is saying, and people who don't know or are only listening are like, did he just say? I don't understand what he's saying. Something I don't remember is saying. Like
it's honestly a good choice of name. It was.
It's not. It's so confusing.
That's why I like it. It's
all right. Fudge is asking, I trust that our invitee Secular Rarity is going to go out of his way to join our cult soon. I think you already have, right?
Done. I am in the Discord. That's correct.
Yes. Both our server and the group of the first servants of our men. We have to work with that name. This is making me uncomfortable.
I don't know if I'm a part of that. Maybe I have to do something else for that. But I do like the concept of like the first 10, like the disciples.
The first 10. The 10 first, the first 10. Yeah. Okay. Lastly, I trust that Mr. Rarity still has not seen the most recent promotion of the battle to come. Yes, guys. So we have a cult. As I don't know if you guys know about this. It's confusing. I will show you the promotional video. I will also post the link for anybody who wants to join this cult in the live chat right now. It's a Discord server. It's called the Armin Agitators. It has an amazing name. I like the name. But I know it sounds alarming, and I would be alarmed if I were you as well. But I will try to make this cult not very culty. Okay, it's going to sound very culty, but we're going to promote. This is going to be the first cult of its kind where people question the leader. Okay, people. There's critical thinking skills, and nobody is a blind follower. Okay, so it's a cult that doesn't act like a cult. Okay, Again, I didn't build this cult. I'm just trying to control it so it doesn't go out of hand. It's called the Armin Agitators, and you could join it. And we have the first mission of this cult is to respond to the challenge of this guy, Bill, right? Bill Jensen. And I will show you the video of Bill Jensen, of the trailer for this cult. So you guys, everybody could be a little bit more up to speed about what's happening here. We're probably going to cover this on the news as well, that we have a cult, right? Yeah. So here, I will show this to you, and you could tell me what you think, okay?
Yeah.
So this is Bill Jensen, and he used to, he called us out. He was agitating. He was, you know, he threatened me with hellfire and everything. Wow. And now we are responding. We're trying to get on his show so that we could respond to all his insults, right? However, these cowards banned me from their server. So what is it? You call me out, you invite me to a challenge, and when I show up, you ban me? It's a Christian way. The Christian way is the cowardly way, right? Anyways, let's watch this ad, and you guys see how big of a hypocrite these guys are, right? Hold on.
See.
I will confront the Atheist Republic. Look at this. They will. He said he will confront the Atheist Republic.
Wow.
And I showed up to his server. Yeah. And I was banned. This is a lie.
Wow.
Christians lie all the time. See? I will confront the Atheist Republic. I'm not going to put my focus on a sinner like that right now. Good.
Get this disgusting sinner off my screen. There is no time to talk about that disgusting individual.
Disrespectful.
We were forged from the fire fueled by disgust over having been betrayed and lied to.
I will confront the Atheist Republic.
Bill spoke of his distaste for Armin.
I don't want to see this disgusting man. This man is terrible. All he does is create people to become sinners.
At the start, it was only fudge. Over time, the passion for the anticipated battle of the century increased. It was no longer only fudge who wished to see this grand battle, and more people joined him until he gained support from people in the Atheist Republic community.
You know, really, it's the commitment level that Pointless Fudge, brings to this channel that makes me want to do better. I wish I was as committed as they are.
I would love to see them together because that would be comedy gold.
Time and time again, Bill tested Fudge's patience by never confronting Armin. After months of lying, Bill eventually changed his tune.
I'm not going to put my focus on a sinner like that right now. This is a year where I take focus on the hotline.
And so the fire of disgust was ignited by Mr. Jensen. And so Fudge came up with a new idea.
Armin, as an alternative to the Hell's CEO reward on Patreon, can I pay you $100 to join Bill Jensen's Discord to talk to him when he streams?
Yeah, sure. Just if you're a Hell CEO on Patreon, just message me. I will follow through with Fudge's and demands now, especially now that he's a patron. I am contractually obligated.
That's true. That's true.
Fudge did not sell his soul to the devil. Instead, he offered $100 to Atheist Republic to ensure the battle between Armin and Bill would start.
Bill, what are your thoughts on the people working in Armin's Atheist Republic community?
I think that they are disgusting. Is this a declaration of war? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we will defend ourselves. And he's not gonna be happy with the results.
Motherfuckers want to step in the ring, they better have gloves.
I mean, this is a republic. That's just one guy. Like we are a nation here. We're an empire, and soon we will take over yours. You might actually backfire.
Yeah, you don't even know where all our people are, man. We got sleeper cells. Like
we have spies within your community. Yeah, we have.
Come after us. I mean, come on.
We'll destroy you.
Hey, you do you. It's your funeral.
As a kid, I was really
scared about going to hell. Like the concept of hell was.
Well, guess what, Armin? You are going to hell. Oh wow!
Yeah, we're going there with all our damn followers. So like,
oh, Lilypad is saying, as Hell's CEO of Atheist Republic, Bill can suck it. There we go. In fact, it would be irresponsible of me of not assuming my role as a cult leader, because at least I could make sure that they don't do destructive things, right?
The ranks of the Armin agitators grew more and more, fueled by anticipation and a payment of $100. Our goal is to agitate forth a battle between Armin and Bill. We bear witness that there is no deity but Armin, and we bear witness that we are the messengers of Armin. We agitate forth the battle of the century.
Get Armin to join there. Get him to join.
I did. You banned me.
Yeah, okay. I'm waiting for that.
I joined your Discord and you banned me.
Sounds good.
We are the Armin agitators.
oh my gosh, oh my freaking gosh, man. Oh my gosh.
Anyways, I
That's
did.
beautiful.
Bill, I have messaged you on Discord privately, given that now I don't have the access to your Discord. So look in your, and I also send you a friend request. But in the meantime, guys, join our cult. Again, I will post the link. Newman is here advertising it as well. Thank you for the super chat saying join our cult. Love you guys. Yes. One more time, I'll post the link in the live chat. I should include the link in the description. Yeah,
that was
good,
amazing. That was just so freaking beautiful. Oh my god.
Guys, we will have missions. We will have missions after missions in this cult. So join and we will come up with missions together as a community. This is not going to be a cult where everybody is following the leader blindly, okay?
That's right.
And everybody gets points for questioning the leader. This is we're changing, we're taking the cult the cultish behavior out of our cults. This is this is how So this
do we actually get points for doing good things? Is this like a point-based cult system? Because that'd be kind of cool. Like every time you like specifically challenge somebody on there, like you get points or something. That might
that's a good idea. Yeah.
I feel like
this
that
will
could
be the first
backfire.
couple. This is it could too much rebellion, but we will figure it out. We will come up with the right balance, okay? But this will be the first cult of its kind, the first cult in the world where it's not cultish.
Yeah.
The first non-cultish cult.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well.
Yeah.
I
really liked the part where it was like through like Fudge's efforts or something, and all it showed was just this person just unwrapping a very large piece of fudge in a kitchen. I really like that. That made me happy. So it's just, oh my gosh. Oh man.
All right. Oh wait, actually Fudge has another question as well. It's saying, when the battle comes, do you know exactly what will you tell him when you speak to Bill about him lying to me about how he would confront you? Yeah, exactly. I will talk about the lie, about the fact that they banned me, him insulting everyone in Atheist Republic. Again, yes, I will show that how Christians have no manners. You know how they all Christians constantly use threat as a tool,
and we've been you know.
Yes. Yeah. The only thing I did, I went and responded to his challenge, and I got banned. He started it. Yeah, his threat of conquering your fan base. Yeah. You will. Yeah,
that's too far. Just can't.
Will you plug the web shop? No. I will. Will you promote the blasphemous art? Yes. In fact, I was gonna go and tell Bill. I will say this right now. I was going to say this right in his face, but given that I don't know if I'm going to meet him anymore or not, I'm going to tell him that I will talk to our CEO, and we will have a series of blasphemous art that Jesus and Mother Mary are submitting to the devil. Okay? And we will have safe for work version of it, because I know that Bill on his server, he has a art section that you can submit.
Right.
But I know that I would respect his rule of his server.
Yeah, that's good.
Because but the art, I looked into the rules of the server. There's nothing that stops us from having Jesus and Mother Mary submitting to the devil, right?
Good.
And
Good.
And we will post that there, but we will also post that everywhere.
Right.
We will spread this around to show him that there's nothing they can do, that the devil will have his say, because we serve the devil in this cult as well. Because we will show how our way is superior by showing, because for us the devil represents humanism, the devil represents knowledge, and Christianity represents slavery to God. And this is why God always wanted to withhold knowledge from humankind, because even the Bible admits that the truth shall set you free, and God didn't want humans to be free. That's why he withhold knowledge, the fruit of knowledge, from people, and the devil wanted to set people free, right? And we are here to educate people about Christianity and its message of slavery and our message of freedom. All right, and we use the devil as a symbolism, and the knowledge that he has to offer to mankind as a symbolism to send that message, right? So if you're not going to engage with us in a discussion about this, as you promised,
come on,
we'll just use art. We will use our blasphemous art to spread this message everywhere.
And I think, one thing that's really good about this is, for so long, cults have just gotten a bad rap. And it's good that you're doing something new, you're doing something different. I just feel like there's been cults out there throughout history that have been better, or could have been so much more, but they fell into all the same old garbage. So I'm excited to be stepping. I feel like I'm doing something in the metaverse or something, like I'm uncharted territory, so being a part of a cult that actively, wants questioning and doesn't like prescribe how to live your life and stuff. And like the main thing that we do is like post sexy, yet blasphemous art. I'm honestly, so far so good, Yeah, we'll see if it starts to go off the rails, but for the time being, it's.
Will you guys let me know? If you guys think our cult is getting too culty, let me know and I will change direction. By the way, did you see how Lilypad also got mentioned in the whole?
I loved that. That was awesome. Yeah, that was great. Just because again, I was like, we've been so respectful, like we haven't done anything. I mean, technically, the CEO of Hell told Bill to suck it, but again, I just. Playful respect is the way I see that.
But we were threatened with eternal torture, so I think we were quite mild compared to what they're.
That's a good point. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on. Asian American saying, "What is this?
Oh,
cybernetic."
This was back with the legs and the snake thing.
Oh, okay, we already responded to that thing. Good. All right. Should the U.S. mint 31? There's a one there. 31 $1 trillion coin. 31 $1 trillion coins, and forgive its debt to itself. I mean, doesn't it already kind of do that? Isn't that the whole point of printing money?
I mean, so this is one of those things where it's like why doesn't the U.S. government do that? And it's like, because it's not really how it works, right? Like the Federal Reserve is technically like a private thing that loans the federal government like money, and it's a very convoluted system on purpose, because by doing stuff like that, it actually increases the value of thing. It's like how the guys who created Google took some of the money that they earned from Google, right? And then they made another company that bought Google, and then instantly the valuation of that other company became massive. Go ahead.
Well, let me clarify. I didn't mean that it actually does that. I mean, like, because that they could. I mean, obviously, that would like dramatically increase inflation, so they're not going to do that. Right. But because you owe this to yourself, you don't have to worry about it.
Right. It's not as big of a thing. It's like It's like right now in the US, we're talking about raising the debt ceiling again. And it's this whole conversation. What is it? Should we do it? Yada, yada, yada. I mean, we can cry about it all we want, but the government's going to make a compromise. They are going to fund themselves, because otherwise, what are they doing? Right? They're going to pass legislation that says, we will allow ourselves to continue running. It may be a pain, there may be some BS along the way, but of course they're going to do that. Of course they're going to authorize their own funding. So it's not, it's not that big of a worry, honestly.
Well, I mean, it's not okay. So even though you can't forgive all of the debt, because for that you require printing so much money,
right,
that it will just make inflation go out,
right. It would bankrupt your economy, right?
Yeah, but because again, it's completely within your control. It's not something that you don't owe this to anyone else. You don't have to worry about it that as much. However, this only works, the fact that you could at least print to pay enough of the debt or the interest, right? You could completely maintain it. This only works because the US dollar is the reserve currency in the world, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about this unless that is challenged,
right?
Because then you're screwed.
Yeah,
like then everything breaks apart, right? So if the US dollar is not the world's reserve currency, because here's the thing, other countries can't do what the United States does, right? Other countries, when they print money, they suffer a lot more than when the United States does, because the US dollar is not just in demand in the US. The US dollar is in demand everywhere because it's what you do to do international trade, right? And every central bank has a huge percentage of their reserve currency is in US dollar, right? So that huge international demand for it everywhere makes United States able to just print away, because it's not going to challenge the value of this currency that is wanted everywhere on the planet. If another country does that, they're screwed. Like, I mean, they do print money, but they can't do it as much as the United States does, right? So the idea of one day United States dollar being not the reserve currency means all of this debt and all of this printing money, it will just it will not happen anymore.
Right. Then we would definitely be concerned.
Yeah, and then how are you going to pay all this debt? So that should be so. But however, one thing I could say that you could be a little bit, now that you're panicking, I could calm you down a little bit. It doesn't seem that it's likely for a while. Like a lot of people thought, oh my God, China's currency is going to replace the US dollar. Doesn't seem like it. It seems like the Chinese currency has actually way bigger problems than the US dollar. Like there is no serious competitor, like not even close. Not the euro, not the Chinese currency, not nothing.
I don't think it would be any currency that we're currently utilizing right now on a major scale. I don't think it would be like the yen. I don't think it would be like that. I think it would be a new currency that is adopted by some new economic system similar to the EU, right? That's what I would think would have the most success of challenging it. Because, like, what else are you going to use? You're not going to use the ruble, that's for sure. Like and the yuan wouldn't work on the global level because of the Chinese government's control on it. You couldn't use the euro. No. Like, it would be. I don't think it would be anything that's currently in existence.
So if you look at the percentage of reserve currencies in central banks, the US dollar is slightly reducing its percentage, right? So for example, it used to be 80%, now it's going to 70%, right? It's going towards other currencies. But like now the interesting thing is, like, when you look at to what currency it's going, it's not a specific it's not one specific currency.
It's just scattered.
It's just diversified towards so many other currencies.
Fascinating.
So there's no one winner that is coming on top.
I was kind of surprised, like, what was it, like a month or so ago when the British pound just like freaking tanked. I was kind of surprised we didn't see more people moving their money into that, because I would have expected they had more faith in that currency to go back up. But
The
maybe not.
Brexit kind of ruined that whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, and they are definitely reaping those rewards, let's say right now. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
See what xenophobia does to you guys? See what
Yeah.
xenophobia does?
Yeah.
Ruins your entire economy.
Yeah. Glad you took
Mm.
back your Britain and your fishing laws. Oh wait. Oh, you didn't. Oh no, but at least you stopped sending all that money to Brussels. Oh no, you didn't do that either. Huh. Whatever.
Well, all right. Oh, wait. There's another French question. I missed this one. I also have to know. Bill Johnson was willing to fly out to New Jersey to confront Jesse how do you read this? A vlogger with 1 million plus subscribers and his family in person twice, but for almost a year he has yet to confront you online. Just how scared would you say Bill really is of you? Very. I think very scared because obviously he has nothing. Yeah. He has nothing. He's just like bluffing. He's just acting like tough, but he has nothing. There's nothing there. There's just all talk and no action.
Yeah.
As soon as you confront them, they ban you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in, evidence. And I just have to say, currently, the evidence really does seem to suggest that Bill Jensen is running scared. And no fault. I just feel like a lot of talk, a lot of bluster. I would hate to be in that position, looking like such a, hypocrite or it's just I'm sorry. I really enjoy it all. It's very fun for me.
Wait, I don't understand this question. What are your thoughts on donut economics? Was there
this is really interesting. There was an article with it, and it's very in depth. It basically has to do with this idea of saying like there are certain criteria in terms of like social well-being, right? That's like the bare minimum, right? Everybody needs access to housing, food, water, and then there's the limit that the earth can actually provide for us on these things. And it's a really, really interesting kind of look at, basically saying how we should structure our economies with these two things in mind. Because without focusing on both of these things, what you have is, some of the stuff that we're seeing right now where people are falling through the cracks and they're not actually being taken care of or receiving the benefit from these growing economies. And then on the other side, you have, just the earth being destroyed from, the various things that we're doing, like overmining, overfishing, CO2.
Just carbon tax the hell out of everybody. That why can't? Isn't that this? I never understand. I always see people arguing against that, but I was never convinced. It just seems to me that the most obvious solution.
It does seem to. I mean, from the stuff that I've seen, carbon tax does seem to be a very effective method and a very beneficial one, not just for like the climate, but also for the businesses that are involved in it too. But what this is, the donut economics concept, that whole kind of model is really a shift, into a different kind of setup. So it's very interesting. It's basically, kind of, again, kind of what I said, there's the minimum of like standards for people, and then there's like the maximum that the earth can actually provide when it comes to like food and amount of space for people. So
I have a belief about all of this that I'm not going to say, because I think the consequences of it could be not good.
Okay.
But remind me to tell you after this.
Yeah. I will definitely.
Yes.
But yeah, it really was. It was an interesting article. The whole concept of it again is really cool. I thought it was a very interesting take on it. So
Secular Sakai just got 5 people memberships. 5
Woo!
people got memberships, which is great because at the end of the show, we're going to bring any members up if anybody wants to talk to us live on air. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Secular Sakai.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All
right. Let's go to the next question. All right. Thoughts on the ethics of Robin Hood strikers giving free power to schools and hospitals whilst cutting it to MPs and billionaires. Should this be emulated in North America? I don't know what this is talking about. Do you know what this is talking about?
This is about protests and strikes in France.
Yeah, I
So
thought it
if
was
I
in the UK now.
maybe. If I remember correctly, what started this off was Macron saying we're going to change the retirement age from 62 to 64, which I still think is lower than the US. So little hurt by that, but yeah, but whatever. Gonna move past that. But so they wanted to change the retirement age. They wanted to up it 2 years, and then a lot of the union workers started striking and said that they were going to start cutting off electricity to.
That was in France, but in UK they're complaining. People are now in the streets protesting because their wages doesn't match the inflation. So
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know
fair.
if this is referring to France or UK.
I mean, either way, it's an interesting strategy for sure. Should it be emulated in North America? I think for that, we'd have to see how effective it is, right? If this is actually effective does it make a statement? Yes. Is sometimes that alone, really extremely important? Absolutely. Will it ultimately achieve the goals that the strikers are going for? I don't know, honestly. And one of the reasons I don't know is because, if you're somebody who's economically disadvantaged and your power is getting cut off regularly, you don't have any backups or safeguards in place, right? Like if my power goes out here, like I don't have anything that I could do. Like I guess I could rent a generator, but that would cost a lot of money, money that I don't have. And so if you're turning off the electricity to some billionaire's estate in the, foothills of France or something, or some, very wealthy MP in the center of London, like, I don't know that that's going to have as much of a tangible effect for them. And so it may just ultimately be, something that they don't even notice.
Susanna saying the feds would come after you so fast for doing that.
I mean, yeah, probably. The energy grid is a big deal. They don't play around with that for sure. And that's the other thing too, is that because of the way that the energy sectors, utilities and so forth are set up in the United States versus the UK and, France, that alone may make it impossible really to do this. You may just not have the ability, you know what I'm saying? So like it just may not be possible. But yeah, I think we need, see how it all shakes out. And if it is seemingly really effective and, not causing a bunch of people to get hurt in the process, I mean, look into it. But
wait, we do not recommend you on this channel for anybody to break any laws. Just
no. Just saying, we'll see. We'll see where this turns out and what it what it comes to. But
make sure you follow. Be aware of your local laws and follow them.
Yes.
Yes. All right. When asked how many men she reincarnated, Soviet sniper with reincarnated, you mean like deleted?
Yeah, so I think that's using,
We're using a YouTube language so that we don't get strikes at all. Soviet sniper Lyudmila Pavlichenko, replied, not men, fascists. When, if ever, is it okay to dehumanize a person? She said they were not men, they were fascists. I mean, most fascists are men, so I don't know. I don't know.
She's coming at it from that angle of like, these aren't humans, these are, worse than that, right? That's where, yeah.
I think, when did she say that? Yeah, go on.
Oh, I imagine that was back in like World War II era. That's what I imagine.
What do you think? What do you think about this?
I think the problem with allowing the dehumanization of anybody, it allows us to treat them worse, right? It's like, it's not a popular opinion to say that, you know, murderers are people too and deserve to still be not tortured and so forth, right? Like, but it's if we feel comfortable doing that to those people that sit in the most heinous of spots in society, you know, aren't we judged by how we take care of the most hated and the most vulnerable, right? Like, isn't that a measure of society? So yeah, I don't think it's good.
I mean, that's not a, for people who are wondering, that's not a pro-fascist statement. Okay, that's
right.
And I also want people to not dismiss what something actually is, because that will make us not find the roots of the problem. I mean, take them out when you need to, right? Especially, you know, but at the end of the day, taking them out is not going to, as you know, target the root of how we have this idea growing. And part of recognizing and understanding how something like this can grow in a society is to understand the nature of what we're dealing with. And the nature of what we're dealing with is men, is humans, right? It's the human brain that has tendencies that could then be manipulated and used to create something like fascism, right? So when you completely otherize fascists away from their human nature, you are seeing it so much out of the realm of our understanding that the only solution that you can see for it would be a bullet, because you act like they're a completely different species.
Right.
But then when you actually humanize it and recognize that this is a human problem, you will find the tools to address it from, again, I'm not saying don't take them out when you need to.
Right.
But again, that's a short-term fix. The longer-term fix is to see the human element of it. And also for you to realize that every single one of us could have become a fascist, given the right conditions in the right environments, given that this is such a human problem. So do not separate the human from the fascist, because is by connecting them and recognize the human within a fascist for you to be able to have any hope to ever be able to address the roots of the problem.
Right. And again, that is not to say don't call out the bad actions by bad people, right? It's to say that don't forget that they are people still. When somebody does a bad action, we should strongly condemn it. We should say, this is not good. This is not the right thing. Don't do that, right? But if we take that next step to say this person has done something that they are no longer part of humanity, well, then that's where all the genocidal rhetoric starts. That's what you do. The first thing that you do is you tell people, hey, this group over here, we don't even need to be concerned about them like we are with other people. And so, anytime we're in that boat, we should always make sure we don't step over that line. Again, call out fascists. I'm happy to stand right there with you, shoulder to shoulder. You know, that's crap. That's crap. That's crap. Absolutely. But the dehumanization isn't a successful method. And not only is it not successful, but there's a lot of harm that comes with it. So.
To be fair, though, as a sniper, you might need to do that for your job.
And that, absolutely. A totally very, 100%.
Maybe like scenario, it might be fair for her, because if you want to, like when you're a sniper and you're taking out fascists, if you're like thinking about the fact that
children
they have a family, they're humans, you're not going to be very effective at what you do, right?
Yeah.
So
totally.
We're not criticizing her for thinking like that, because that's how you do that. But for the rest of us, I don't think it might not be very helpful, right?
Yeah.
Also, for anybody that needs to hear this, we're not saying when we're saying fascists are human too, we're not like endorsing fascism. I hope nobody thinks that what we're doing. I think somebody's gonna think that we're saying that, so I have to clarify that.
I know. No, it's worth it. Just again, it's not an endorsement of the actions or ideology. We're just simply saying we shouldn't dehumanize fascists, just like we shouldn't dehumanize anybody.
And it doesn't help when we have fans of this channel who are actually endorsing fascism. And this is not a troll. Oxymoron actually believes this.
Yeah. And I would definitely just argue, I think inherently in the definition of fascism, it's bad. I would say that it's always.
By the way, guys, like Oxymoron is saying this is offensive. Fascism isn't always bad. But guys, he's not joking. He actually believes this. So this is not a joke. So I am concerned, but I am very concerned.
Not a fan of it myself. So
But. All right. So let's go. Well, we have people already up wanting to talk. So I posted a link for members to be able to come up talk to us on the community tab, only for members to see. But we have a few more questions that we need to finish before we get to the members. We'll try to go through it fast. Gagin American is saying thoughts on the ethics of this proposed bill. Okay, I have to bring up the bill, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what bill this is?
Yeah, it has to do with allowing inmates. I want to say, I don't remember exactly where, but I'm pretty sure it was in the US, like Maine, Minnesota. I think it was an M state. Doesn't matter. But allowing inmates to donate organs or biological tissue of some kind to get a reduction on their sentence.
I saw that.
It's very interesting. There was something in Tennessee not super long ago, a proposed bill. I don't think it ever went through a lot of committees, but there was a proposed bill about chemical castration for individuals, where basically you take, hormones that decrease, testosterone or estrogen or whatever. So, and they would allow individuals to inmates take that to get reduction in their sentence. So this is in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts they allow you to. They're discussing a bill where the inmates could donate their organs to get out of prison early. So the question is, what are your thoughts on this? It sounds very bad, but also the opposite also sounds very bad, because you're kind of taking the autonomy over freedom over someone's body away from them.
So
if you don't allow it,
so I believe one of the discussions in this article is about how currently inmates are banned from donating organs in Massachusetts. And so I would be in favor of saying lift that ban. But I think when we add in the incentive of getting out of jail earlier, potentially, I think that puts in such bad incentives that it will
I
be
go with yours.
I
would go with your solution. I like that. Yes,
let
good.
inmates donate organs if they want. I don't see why they would be banned, as long as their organs meet the criteria that are required by the federal standard. So, but now there is a federal law, I believe, that strictly says organs are not allowed to be donated for monetary value. And so this could be argued that it is monetary value, because if you donate an organ, you could get up to a year off of your sentence. So,
so the question, let me just read the question really quick. Thoughts on the ethics of this proposed bill? If a war criminal damaged the cornea of a protesters, should their cornea be forfeit and transplanted to the protester? An eye for an eye in this case only leaves the criminal blind. No, that's a huge, horrible precedent. That sounds like a barbaric government that would do such a thing. Definitely not. The idea of a government being able to do something to your body by force should be completely left to the dark ages, and we need to evolve out of that.
Yeah, our criminal laws in society shouldn't be based around retribution, right?
Yeah,
it shouldn't be based around us trying to.
Also,
Go ahead.
Also, also violating
Yes.
your bodily autonomy, all
Right.
of that. Yeah.
Right. There should be
Yeah.
basic principles that you maintain no matter what, because you're a person. Just going back to that last question about the dehumanization stuff. It's like, no, you are still a person. Therefore, I am not allowed as the state to just take your eye out and put it in somebody else's head. So also, it wouldn't always work too, because there's like biological things that have to, like, you can't just like anybody can't just receive anybody else's kidney. That's not how it works, unfortunately, right? So it's a whole process.
All right, let's go through the 2 more questions because we have people waiting to come up and I don't want to lose them. So next question: if you had to vote for a Republican, oh no, I hate this question already.
I know, me too.
If you had to vote for a Republican in 2024, you can't abstain, who do you vote for? Trump, DeSantis, Pompeo, Bolton. I have an answer already. I thought this would be more difficult than I thought, but I already have an answer.
Who'd you pick?
I would have to go DeSantis because Trump is such a threat to the foundations of democracy itself. That would be my last choice. Pompeo and Bolton seem to be so trigger happy with wars, right? So DeSantis would be horrible, but Trump would the damage from the all other 3. It's just basically from all the 4, those 3 seem to be extremely dangerous for world peace as a whole.
That's interesting.
I think DeSantis might have an anti-war mentality, like an actual trying to, too protectionist for my taste, but at least the protectionism might end up not getting the United States involved with wars and stuff. So even though it would be horrible, I will still think it's less horrible than the other 3. What do you think?
That's interesting. Yeah. So I think I took a little bit of a different tact on this. So I picked Pompeo, and the reason that I picked Pompeo is because I felt out of the 4 of them, Pompeo is the one with like the least amount of like spine in terms of like standing up to people that kind of like pressure him to do things. So Trump will blow with the wind any which way that somebody, but only if they're like agreeing with him, right? Trump, if Trump says the sky is purple and you say no, it's blue, he'll just argue with you just because you're arguing. DeSantis is smart enough to actually make terrible things happen, and Bolton is such a war hawk that I just think we'll go into war right away. But I think with Pompeo, he's just enough wishy-washy and not like solidly involved in the hateful stuff that there would be a chance people could push him into.
Yeah, but you're thinking about Americans. I'm thinking about the world.
No, I know.
So Diana's also saying. So Diana is saying no. DeSantis is smart and pure fascist. Trump acts like his own acts in his own interests, but DeSantis is focused on harming his enemies. Yes, but those are Americans. Okay, DeSantis is smart and all, but he's focused on his leftist American enemies. Okay, he's not, unlike the other 3, he's going to be less harmful to the planet. Okay, he's too focused on America.
So we can agree Bolton and Trump are out. There, we can agree on that.
Yeah,
I don't think Pompeo is as hawkish as he wanted to present himself in the waning days of Trump's presidency.
Maybe.
And that's what I'm saying. I think he's more wishy-washy. And because of that, I think it's going to be, he'll step up and he'll say, we're going to blah, blah, blah.
You're right.
But
You're right. I'll switch to Pompeo.
All right.
Yes. Yay, Pompeo. No. Don't cut this part out.
No, I hated that question. I feel kind of gross.
Question.
Can I shower?
Yeah. Last question. The people that are waiting keep popping in and out, and now I can't tell who was first anymore. So last question. Why are so many Palestinian people celebrating the terrorist attack on Israeli civilians? This kind of behavior makes it easy to justify anything IDF does. Okay, so the answer to the first question is because they're anti-Semitic. Easy answer. And by they, I mean the specific Palestinians that celebrated that. I'm not saying Palestinians. I'm saying many Palestinians. I'm not saying all Palestinians, but the ones who are celebrating this, they're anti-Semitic. The second part is this kind of behavior makes it easy to justify anything IDF does. No, I don't disagree with you. I don't agree with that because, again, you have to think individually. Okay, first of all, what many Palestinians do is not what every Palestinian believes, so you have to separate that. Second of all, even the Palestinians who are anti-Semitic, they do not deserve death as a punishment. Okay, so a bullet in the head is not a good punishment for you being anti-Semitic. Okay, so there's two problems with your second sentence. One, the punishment doesn't fit the crime, and the crime is just a thought crime, right? You should condemn that thought crime, but that is not. IDF has unjustifiably killed many people, right? And even if they are anti-Semitic, that's not a deserving response. And also, many people who are Palestinians who are not anti-Semitic. So and IDF does not really filter for that anyway. So. Yeah, I do not endorse. Again, I am a huge fan of Israel, but I'm a huge critic of IDF at the same time.
Yeah.
Many innocent people have been killed by IDF, and there's no way to justify that. You could be anti the Palestinians who are celebrating attacks on civilians and be anti IDF's killing of innocent people at the same time. There's no contradiction there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All good. All right. Let's bring people up. Do you know who was first? I think.
I don't see anybody backstage. So.
Oh, I think Seper was first. Hi, Seper. Hello. Do you have any idea? Oh, he dropped out. Let's go with. I think Ibn Qayyim was last. Let's go with Sosh. Hi, Sosh.
Hello. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Good. I see you're driving. So be careful.
Please be safe.
Oh yeah, I'm just making sure you guys enjoy the view just as I am. Can you tell me where I am?
No. Don't tell us.
Okay, doesn't matter. Yeah. So, first of all, I want to know: have you guys heard of the Iraqi gentleman in Toronto who was showing Iranian protesters photo of Khomeini, and then one of the protesters who exposed where this guy's business was and where he lived got charged with criminal harassment. Any thoughts on that?
No, I didn't hear about that. I'm gonna look.
Yeah, it was Mr. Pooley, Pooli. Have you heard of him, Mr. Pooley? He does similar things that Sam Rajabi does, but in Toronto.
Okay, so he doxed him.
Yes.
Sounds criminal.
Sounds criminal, doesn't it? But he's very passionate, and I feel bad for him. But I mean, at the play, it's just interesting because he was also threatened by death. Like they told him they're gonna kill him, and then that's when he exposed the address.
Yeah, but that doesn't justify. Yeah, like if somebody does something illegal, it doesn't justify you doing something illegal. I think it's important to keep your activism legal. I think Sam and Ali are doing a really good job keeping their activism legal. So I think other people should follow their leader.
They were civilly sued by what's his name? The singers.
But that's civil law. That's civil law. That's not criminal law, right? So that means.
Do you know anything about that lawsuit?
I think it's completely unfounded.
Okay, you think it's gonna fail?
I don't know. No, I don't know. They're rich, so it might not fail. they have.
Yeah, you can exactly legal costs. Basically, you can lose because of legal costs. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And, but I think it's unfair. That legal. The suing, the act of suing them is completely unfair, and I hope Ali and Sam win that. But
but anyways, I have the videos of the doxing incident from the individual. If you want it, he told me to send it around, spread it. That this Iraqi proudly calling Khomeini an author, that his funeral was the biggest funeral in history, and that's why he was showing it to Masa Amini protesters.
Yeah, so because this question is getting so specific, so our audience might not know what we're talking about. So I'm just gonna give a more general answer that I don't think I just think when you are doing activism, even if your other side is a dick and a bad person and are saying evil things, it doesn't still keep it legal. Keep it legal because that's how you become effective at your activism. It doesn't matter how bad they are. Try to keep it legal, especially if you're, I mean, the only way you could justify doing illegal things is that if you're living in Iran and the laws are not justified, right? But when you're living in a country like United States, Canada, UK, or France, just like when you're doing activism, just follow the laws.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds simple, but it's so important, and so important to people involved in protesting and all of that. I also listened to your support for the representation, kind of Mr. Reza Pahlavi being our kind of voice in foreign, foreign, and I just want to let you know, I initially signed that petition immediately because the gut feeling was there that this is good. Any kind of action to fight the Islamic Republic is good. But then I was bombarded with, tens of friends saying, basically what you said, they all strawmanning Reza Pahlavi. And basically I was not doing any protest for a month because I thought it's going astray. And, I'm behind by a month now of protest because of all the bombardment of misinformation that you corrected. Thank you. So I just want to thank you for that as well.
No. Thank you for that as well. Yeah, thank you.
Well, Final question. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Final question. Go.
Okay. Final question. You guys are Atheist Republic. Isn't it time to be? I used to be an atheist, but I'm agnostic now because I listened to Skeptic. He said it's better not to make a claim like there is no God. It's easier to just say, he has his theory about not attacking God, but instead just saying I don't know. And smarter people are gonna be agnostic. Would you guys be open to switching to Agnostic Republic instead? Because it sounds like
that's because he doesn't. No. He doesn't Skeptic doesn't understand what he's talking about. Send me the clip that he said that, and I will criticize him.
He always talks about. He talked to you about that. We shouldn't attack God because we don't have proof. God is something that is it's a physiological. I'll tell you what he said. He says it's a physiological manifestation in your brain that you have a sense of presence, and attacking the God. Yeah.
He's wrong. He doesn't understand what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Please inform me.
So there are a couple of different ways you can go about this, and it kind of depends on how you're going. So for one thing, oftentimes agnosticism is referring to whether or not you have knowledge, being a subset of belief. So belief, then you have justified, true, that becomes knowledge. And agnosticism is saying that we don't have knowledge either way. We don't actually have justified true beliefs on either side, right? Atheism isn't necessarily saying there is no God, right? It isn't necessarily taking the stance of the hard atheism, which is often referred to as definitely I'm saying there is no God. That being said, there are lots of different constructions on this and understandings in the philosophical literature. If you're talking to somebody who has just spent their whole life doing philosophy of religion and deep into philosophy, when they use the term atheist, they are taking the hard stance. And when they are using the term agnostic, they are taking that stance more so of I'm not picking a side. But that's just the actual philosophical literature. But when it comes to the actual general usage of the words, a lot of times, a lot of times people that are taking the label atheist are pretty much synonymous with a non-theist or a non-religious person. And they're just simply saying, I do not believe in a God or a deity of some kind. Some people take a slightly different tact, which is kind of where I go, which is in the general construction of what a deity is, I don't have knowledge either way. I don't currently have a belief in that thing, but I don't have knowledge either way, so I'm agnostic in that sense. But every other construction of God that I have ever heard fails somewhere. whether it's with demonstration of its existence or whether it's, a fallacy in the logical, construction. And so that's why I take a slightly different stance than some people. But in the general term of like some deity out there with power and so forth, that's basically unfalsifiable. It's like, well, okay, I don't know either way on that, I guess. But like the God of the Quran, all the gods mentioned in Hindu scriptures, the God of the Bible, like all of that fails. And I take the positive stance that those specifically do not exist. Zeus, don't believe it. Definitely, I'm saying does not exist. But does that kind of flesh it out a little bit more for you, Sash?
Once I listen to the video again, because I usually listen to things more than once.
Yeah.
Before I can understand, I usually listen to things 3 times.
Sash,
It's
send me the clip from Skeptic, and I will review it on the Persian channel. Okay, but I think Secular Rarity explained it very well. And I want to do a. Is there a clip? Is there a short clip from Skeptic that you could send me?
You literally had, on the first time you met him with Babak,
No.
You had this discussion with him. I'm surprised.
I know.
you forgot.
I remember it very clearly, and I remember that I destroyed him in that discussion. So I don't know why you seem to not remember what happened. Okay, because I completely showed how flawed our reasoning was. But I want to do I want to do a video reviewing of him without him constantly interrupting me. So I want to have a short clip of him making that point, and then me doing a pausing and then explaining it to everybody in Persian, the difference. People thinking like atheism and agnosticism is mutually exclusive. Like for example, you don't seem to know the definitions right now because you're saying I'm an agnostic now instead of an atheist. Like that doesn't make any sense. I myself, I'm an agnostic atheist. Agnosticism and atheism is not mutually exclusive. So to say I'm an agnostic now and not an atheist means that some people don't understand the definition of these words. And also for Skeptic to come and say that, oh, God is like he's redefining the word God. So I need to clarify this on the Persian channel. So I'm going to use Skeptic as a way to highlight that. So if you have a 5-minute clip of him saying that, send it to me on my Instagram. Okay, and I will review.
I think, he never put it on YouTube because he has a YouTube channel where he does that. But I'm gonna try to see whether I find that. I'll definitely. How do you want me to communicate with you? I don't even know how to send you things.
I told you on my Instagram. I use my Twitter now for contacting people in English and my Instagram for Persian.
Okay, I have your Instagram. I'm on there.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, sounds good. I'll look forward to it. All right, we're gonna go to other people, but thank you, Sash. That was
no problem. Thanks, guys.
Right.
See you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, we have a super chat, a $50 super chat. Holy crap! Thank you so much. That is incredible. Thank you. Lilypad has saved us so many times every month from
it's a pair celebrating. I don't know if you saw it, but it was kind of cute. But
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lilypad. You are our number one sponsor of Atheist Republic. Thank you. Very generous. And again, guys, please only support us financially if you are very, very secure financially. Other people, just like the video. There is a lot of excuse for not supporting us financially, especially if you're struggling. But there is no excuse for not liking the video.
It's true.
Okay, this video will be haram upon you if you don't like this video.
Oof.
Okay,
you don't want that.
No, you don't. Okay, so I wrote down. Oh, Seper is next. Seper is back. Hi, Seper.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Fun fact, I'm actually Sasha's brother.
Oh, cool.
Oh, hey, wow, nice.
He did a good job. I don't know if you guys remember, but he did a good job misrepresenting a lot of my opinions when he brought me up to you guys a while back. Something to do with Jordan Peterson as well.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
So, well, you could now misrepresent him in return.
Exactly. So it was actually interesting to hear about the agnosticism, atheism thing. I had that wrong as well. I always considered myself an agnostic. But now it sounds like, based on the true definitions, I'm the same as you, agnostic, atheist of sorts. So that was good to know. I think more
Yeah.
people should know
So if the question, if I ask you, do you believe in God, right?
Right.
And you say no, but don't go forward with making the claim that there is no God. Okay.
Right.
If I
Exactly.
ask you that, you just say no, I don't believe in God, but you also don't claim that there is no God, that would make you an agnostic atheist. Okay?
That's right. That's the stance I take.
Yes, but if you say I don't believe in God, but also claim that there is no God, that makes you a Gnostic atheist.
Got it. Really good info. I don't think many people know that. I think most people think atheism is being 100% sure of. I've actually thought that for my whole life. That atheism is 100% sure there is no God, and agnosticism is that you're not sure. You can't be sure either way.
Part of that is a religious narrative. I mean, especially in the places where Christianity has been really popular, atheism has been specifically pointed out as this one and only definition. And that's why there has been a lot of activism on just saying, no, we're just normal people who just don't believe in this, just like we don't believe in unicorns, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it brings up another point, but this isn't my question.
Also, one thing else. In academia, they use atheism and agnosticism in a different way than in common language. We're talking about common language.
Right. Okay. So in academia, what happens in academia?
In academia,
go ahead.
Yeah, they mean when they say atheist, they're referring to what we refer to as Gnostic atheists.
Right. It is always the hard stance. Anytime it's atheist, it is always the hard stance. Agnostic is that middle ground. But again, just like Armin and I laid out, like there is technically a nuance between them. You can be both an agnostic and an atheist. So
the academic definition is the one that I was talking about then. Okay. So that's interesting. I mean, that brings up the point. I have a question, but that brings up the point of at what point do you kind of abandon the since atheism it might, so the whole point of debate for me is sometimes, most of the time, to convince the other person that you may be more right than them, and to bring them on your side, or at least an audience. And if you're being labeled as atheist, and there's multiple definitions based on different contexts, at one point does it become pretty counterproductive to hold on to that title? Because you're fighting a battle uphill at that point. Everyone thinks atheism means what it's not, or not the type of atheism that you are. And now your job is to inform them what atheism is. And then at that point, they may have already kind of dismissed you because they don't hold the same beliefs as you to begin with.
I mean, they don't have to have the same beliefs for us to have a discussion.
Yeah, no, that's not what I meant.
The whole point. The whole point of having it is
I misspoke on that. Yeah. I mean, just psychologically, it's kind of like it's a barrier. It's like if a lot of maybe religious people think atheism, oh well, what's wrong with you? How could you say such thing? They hold a very emotional attachment to their gods. But then if you come at it as an agnostic, they go, okay, so you're someone who doesn't know either way, and therefore you might be on my side or you might be on their side. They're more open to listening to you in this kind of debate.
So I think you do make a reasonable point. I do think that. But I would also say that this is why specifically there has been a whole group of people that are taking this tact, right? Like, yes, it is a very uphill battle. We are very much rolling a very large boulder and getting crushed over it repeatedly and having to do that over and over. But the reason that so many people have taken that route is specifically because of this misconception, right? And this, othering that happens from the beginning. And so there are a bunch of different places, whether it's, I saw Neil the 604 Atheist was in the chat, whether it's, producer Wes or, Sonny Shell, whether it's student Dr. Ben, Eric Murphy, Vila Bianca, like Dave Warnock. There's a whole collection and growing of really wonderful individuals who are trying to kind of change the face and change that narrative. And yeah, I mean, I guess it could be argued in the whole broad scope of things when we're able to zoom out and look at 500 years worth of history, maybe the better tact would have been for us to use a slightly less taboo word. But there's part of taking back that term, right? That is really, really important. And that alone could actually be the biggest catalyst for people, just getting people to change their understanding in their head, that instead of this word meaning this definition, it actually means this thing. Maybe that alone is what causes people to start, at the very least, stop criminalizing and dehumanizing and literally killing atheists in the streets, right? Like, maybe they don't stop believing tomorrow. Maybe they're still Jewish or Hindi, but at the very least, they're not, putting us in jail anymore, right?
Yeah.
Right. So,
sure.
let me. I'm going to quickly address this as well. I'm actually very much in favor with going with the most taboo word, because the main part of our activism is not to convince them that they're wrong. The main part of our activism is for us to fight the demonization of the groups of people that they're demonizing, right? So we want to use the label, especially the labels that are used for demonizing groups of people, so to normalize our existence, right? So I don't want to go with the I don't want to go with the label that makes it easier for them to accept us, because that's the fact that they don't accept atheists is the exact thing that we're trying to remedy here, right? I don't want to keep tiptoeing around like their sensitivities. No, like we want to normalize atheism. If agnosticism is already normalized, then what the hell? Why would I call myself an agnostic? If like free thinkers, skeptics, humanists, these are all normalized and there's no that they're not that taboo, I don't want those labels. I want the label that we need to normalize the things. Like, for example, if I'm making a Arabic group, I will call the group Mortads, right? Like exactly the most the name that has the most amount of demonizations associated with it, right? So this is not just a debate club. This is a human rights issues. We are a group of people, like atheists are one of the most attacked and demonized and discriminated against minorities in the world, right? And this is not just about, hey, let's debate Islam is true or atheism is the most sensical. No, we are actually talking about people's rights and their lives and trying to create a community to protect them and for them to feel like they belong there. So we are obviously going to go pick the most demonized terms that we could find.
And I also think that, that's one reason why I kind of like, I still do watch the atheist theist debates and stuff, but one reason I kind of stopped being so focused on that is because a lot of time a lot of time is spent just being like, well, what kind of God do you believe in? Like, because you say, well, your God's not all good. And the person goes, well, I don't think my God is all good. And it's like, well, okay, we just wasted a bunch of time. Or the theist says, well, you're claiming that all gods are impossible. And it's like, well, no, I'm not. And so I think one of the tacks that is really, really helpful is just getting on camera and just saying, hey, I don't believe in God. I'm a normal person, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I get that. I get that word may be offensive to people. I get that people may have a misconception about it. But that's why it's so good that we have somebody, out there that's like genetically modified skeptic, who just has massive channel and is just able to say, like, I'm a non-believer. I don't believe in God. Atheism. Cool. That it just makes it easier for us to have that more difficult conversation later on down the road.
I understand that makes a lot of sense. So I mean, I would continue this conversation, but I do have a question.
Last question, because we have to go to other people as well.
Sure. So you guys mentioned carbon tax. This is a genuine question I have every time things like carbon tax come up. And you guys are based in the US, correct?
Canada.
Yeah,
Canada.
I'm in the US.
Canada, US. Okay. So it's in both countries, the discussion and the policies. But my question always goes back to, even if we do, Canada and US cut down carbon taxes as much as possible, as much as humanly possible, aren't the greatest perpetrators of carbon emissions countries outside of these two countries and countries that we can't control and
Yeah,
we
but
can
they
barely
can't.
influence at
But
all.
they can't. Yeah, but we first of all, even if other countries are doing, United States is still a big part of the contribution, even though if it's not the biggest, it is still a big contributor. So if you reduce that, that would be significant. It's not a black and white thing. It's not binary. It's not all in one of like, oh well, it's already happening, so we might as well add to the problem. Like you could still make the problem less, even if there are other people that are bigger part of the problem. But also, you can't really pressure those countries to reduce their carbon emissions if you do not yourself don't have that standard, right? So I think if you want to go pressure China, for example, you first better make sure that you clean up your own act, so you have you have a moral high ground to be able to talk from, you know. So even if you're concerned about China, you do need to first have these standards for yourself, so that you could lecture other countries and pressure them into accepting these standards, right?
And you also have the potential for an adoption of regulations across the board and across the industry. So like, for instance, in the United States, when it comes to various regulations, they can be state by state as opposed to federal, right? So let's say California, the state of California, one of the largest economies in the world, actually, like the 9th largest economy in the world, puts extremely strict regulations on carbon emission for cars. Well, manufacturers in Tennessee are going to make sure that they change their manufacturing and production so as to be able to be viable in the California market. So if the United States, Canada, the UK, let's say, right, 3 countries, not the biggest, but still contributors, those 3 countries institute these policies and restrictions very heavily, it may just start spurring other countries around the world, or more importantly, the actual businesses and industries themselves without the country's regulation. It may just spur them to start doing things in a more environmentally conscious manner, because if they don't, they're going to lose access to one of their largest markets. So
we need to go to other people, guys, because
sure.
we're over time. Yeah.
No worries.
Okay, but did we answer your question though?
Yeah. What's that?
Yes, I have follow-up questions, but that's all right. We'll talk later.
Yeah, come back.
Okay. Yeah, come back on, like, because I do want to talk about that.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right, thank you so much, Sapir. Well, let's go to Ibn. So we have Ibn Qayyim, then Secular Sakai, and then Guru Nathan. All right, Ibn Qayyim. Hi.
Hi there. Hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Do you support stricter gun legislation in the US, similar to the legislation we have in the UK?
Yes. What about you, Secular Rarity?
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the regulation in the UK, but there are lots of things in the US gun regulation that could be.
Wait! I forgot to do something. Secular Sakai just gave us $50 to our GoFundMe. Thank you so much, Secular Sakai. I have $5 to chat, so $55 in total. Thank you so much for the support. Sorry about that, but go on. Yes, we do both of us.
Yeah, for the most part, I'd say probably. I mean, definitely a lot of the gun regulation in the United States is just crap. So
perfect. Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree, because if you didn't, I was going to challenge you. But since
in my state, it is legal to walk into a Walmart and buy alcohol, a firearm that day with ammunition, and all your damn groceries in the same store. You can buy all of that. So
honestly, I would be happy. Forget UK standards. I would be happy if United States could bring standards for buying a gun as much as getting a driver's license.
Oh my
that would be
gosh.
amazing.
That
would be amazing. The fact, like, the fact that it's easier for you to get a killing machine in the US. It's easier than getting a machine that is not meant to take lives, right? The fact that it's possible, that's just insane. That's just insane. You guys are insane.
I think they stopped this technically, but for a couple of years, my state was offering, if you purchased a gun license during this time period, it would have a lifetime expiration, meaning unlike all the other gun licenses that you get, all the fishing license, driver's license has to be updated every so often. You could purchase one of these firearm licenses and never have to get it reinstituted again in my state. And a buddy of mine got one. And when you look at the expiration date, it says in big bold letters, lifetime.
Wow.
So I don't know what that means if he ever commits a felony, but
I mean, I was looking at the homicide rates in some of the major American cities, like St. Louis, for example.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. 64.54 is per 100,000 people.
Yep.
That's up there with places in Mexico where the cartels control, etc. It's beyond belief. It really is.
It's always bizarre to me when some Americans say, like, "Is it safe to go to this country?" I'm like, is it safe to go to the US? Like, I don't know. Like, sometimes the countries that they wonder about is like so much safer than the US. But yeah, go on.
We had 2 mass shootings within like 50 miles of each other in 2 days. Just like a week or so ago, right? In like LA area, South, California and stuff. And then we had another one that just had we have already, we are in the very first day of the second month of the year of 2023. We have had both, I believe, more mass shootings than amount of days and people killed than amount of days. Like it's nonsense. It really is. So yeah. But
yeah, and just before I go, the self-deletion rate in terms of buy guns in the United States is 60% buy guns, 40% not buy guns.
Yeah.
And if you actually remove the gun-related self-deletion cases, the actual self-deletion rates in the US would be similar to what they are in the UK, but they're 60% higher, and those are the ones that are related to the guns, basically. And
And same thing with the amount of children that are shot and killed with firearms and stuff due to just the proliferation of weapons and stuff. Yeah, it really is nonsense. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad Armin has revised his position on this, because I know he was previously he said that we shouldn't get rid of guns. I've seen you in videos saying that there's too many guns in America. There's no point putting in legislations, which is why I came on here to challenge you.
That's not what I said. I said it's difficult. What I said was I want these legislations, but I understand how difficult it is. I didn't say there's no point. I'm just saying United States has made it extremely difficult. Like, even if you wish these laws, it's not going to happen. I still say that. I still have that position. This what I want for the US, it's not going to happen. It's too late. It's too late. There's no way that you could get this.
But if it was implemented today, you would
why would it not be? Why would it not be implemented today? It's just the collection process, the implementation process is just such a nightmare, both politically and physically, and it is such a nightmare that it's not going to happen. So this is us just what we're describing to you is us just dreaming. So my position on that hasn't changed. This is almost an impossible thing to happen in the United States.
It would have to be a multi-decades long thing where ultimately what you're doing is you're making it harder for the next generation to get the massive amounts of firearms that people are able to get right now. And it would just have to phase out. And it would be something that couldn't possibly work in the same manner that it did with a buyback in Australia, like back in the 70s. Like but if I remember correctly, it's only like 3% of the actual gun owners in the United States that own 75 some odd percent of the actual weapons that are out there. So again, it would have to be something where you institute something knowing that we wouldn't see the results of it for 30 or 50 years potentially, because those people would just have to die out.
And Susanna is saying, when people say you have to pry, is that how you say it? Pry this rifle out of my cold dead hands, they effing mean that there. Yeah, they actually literally mean that.
Yeah, and will literally and have literally set up, outposts and training camps and so forth, which again is actually made legal in the United States Constitution. The Second Amendment specifically allows for a well-regulated militia. So there's a lot of different things that would have to all come together really well. But I think it's an easy thing to say, the regulation in the US definitely needs to be better.
Even you have a habit of like not, you listen and you think you heard something, and I think like sometimes you hear something that was not said, especially
Okay,
if you want to.
all right. You said I have a habit of this. Can you give me an example of apart from the one that you've just mentioned?
No,
Apart from that, can you give me an example of
well,
when I
I
have?
mean, like you remember the last discussion that we had about. I don't want to get into that discussion, but like examples, like the way that you represented Harry Sultan sometimes, for example, right?
Well, you ended
Yeah.
up agreeing at the end. So, for example, saying
No,
that
but I also
someone should.
I don't want to get into that discussion right now, because we had a 2-hour long discussion about this. But like, I'm not talking about the agreements that we had. I'm talking about all the disagreements that we have had, right? I mean, sometimes
But
I
none of
feel
them were
like
based on what I heard. None of them were based on what I heard. So the disagreements we had on that discussion were not on the basis of
no, like
me
you hear
misrepresenting what he had
something.
said.
Yes, it was. I remember it was. You
What
misrepresented
was it?
some.
Which misrepresentation?
Okay,
Can you provide
but
me
go
an
back
example?
to that. Go back. Okay, go back. Look at the 2-hour discussion that we have had before. Okay,
I have.
but
I had you the other day. I listened back to it, and
I
there
don't
was
want
just
to.
constant interruption by you. There was just constant interruption by you. I listened back to it, and there was just me stumbling. And then, but what would happen is you would make like 7, 8 points, and as I was addressing the first point, you would interrupt me while I was addressing the first point. So I was unable to get to all the different points you were making.
Well, usually what I do is when somebody tells me not to interrupt them, then I will tell them that I will. Usually when I'm going back and forth with somebody, if somebody is not
But it wasn't a
complaining
back and
about.
forth. It wasn't back and forth. There was like, you would make 7 points, and then if once I was started addressing the first, it was my fault. I let you do it, right? So it was
Yeah,
my
you can
issue.
easily.
Yeah,
I
I
usually
shouldn't have done it.
easily just. When somebody
But,
says
but
that, actually, let
well,
me
let me
finish my
finish. Wait, 1
point.
second. Let me finish. Let me finish. Yeah. See,
There
you're
you
doing
go.
it now. Okay.
No,
So
I'm letting you. You
yeah.
asked me, and I'm letting you.
Okay. So I've forgotten my point now. Sorry. No, I was about to say. I think it was. I was saying basically you'd make like several points as I was addressing like the first point. You would come in and I would let you in. It's because of my maybe lack of public speaking experience and skill.
Right.
Maybe that's one of the reasons that inexperience, etc. It's one of the reasons why I'd let you interrupt me. And yeah. So yeah. I mean, by the way, Harris was much better. Not this past week, but the week before. Obviously, when he was on, he did really well. I think it was a much better performance, and he addressed some of the issues that normally he doesn't do. And it's a much better performance by him.
All right. Can I speak now?
Yeah, go on.
So I want to, I always assume somebody is okay with interruption unless they tell me. Okay. So my tip to you is if you ever speak again, okay, and you want to finish a point and I'm not letting you, just tell me like, actually, let me finish my point. And whenever somebody says that, I respect that because I like both of us to be able to interrupt each other unless one of us requests the other person to let them finish their point. And whenever you do that, I will grant that wish. Okay. I always do that.
No worries.
Yeah, because I always think there's friendly interruptions unless somebody asks for the other side to stop doing that. But I will always try. Right now, for example, you asked me to let me finish your point, and I noticed you don't want interruption, so I didn't do that. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Cool. All right. Okay. Cool. So we'll talk again about these things later. But thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you later. Bye.
See ya.
All right, so Seper is back up again. So let me go through everybody. Secular Sakai. Hi, Secular Sakai, and thank you again for the $50 donation. 55 actually, to be exact. Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yes, your audio is very good.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I just thought I'd come on right quick because I noticed that there were a lot of Patreon questions this week. So I noticed that the ones I had, there wasn't time for them, so I thought I'd just ask one right quick on the stream. So my question is related to Taiwan. I have noticed just through the different activism work that I do, a couple different groups, similar to how the Ukrainian model, where you have civil defense groups that have started to organize in Taiwan in anticipation of a potential disaster there from perhaps one caused by a neighboring country that we all know the name of. And so I was my question basically is one example of this is a group called Kuma Academy, which basically teaches emergency first aid, civil defense training, emergency preparedness, and the basic tactics for how to survive in a war zone, things like that, or in a natural disaster. Groups like these, do you think that as foreigners outside of Taiwan, it's helpful for us to support them, or do you think that realistically, just American and maybe some other allied naval forces in the area, like Japan or South Korea, are the only real way that you know, campaigning for politicians to strongly support that is the best way for foreigners to try to help Taiwanese?
I would say the
That's
latter.
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think that it's ever bad or detrimental, right, to do the first to be supportive of those groups, especially the types of medical intervention and information that they're perpetuating. I don't think it's bad to be supporting those groups, but in terms of like actual effectiveness, you're probably going to be more effective in the second capacity, just because if you have that support from the United States government, the United States military, right? Like that's huge, because you can actually pay for like Marine doctors theoretically, right? So it's like even better than somebody who was just trained on the ground. But I don't think it's a detriment to the cause to do something like that, right?
Yeah, I think they're both helpful, but if you're asking which one is more helpful, I think I agree with Secular Rarity.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess another thing is the fact that
especially as an American citizen or a Canadian citizen, or a French citizen or a German citizen, you have access to politicians, and you have a pressure power over politicians that the Taiwanese don't, right? So maybe like your activism, if you had to choose one, instead of doing the things that they can do, you could do the things that they can't do, which is pressure American politicians or Canadian politicians and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And another really important point to it that I kind of just realized the other day is because right now, we're all aware of what's happening in Ukraine, and it's an ongoing event. People are hopeful, wanting it to be over soon, but realistically, it could drag out. It could drag out for a couple years even. Who knows? But with Taiwan, with it being an island and being very isolated, much easier to force embargoes and blockades upon compared to Taiwan, which has a very porous western border right now with the rest of the European Union and NATO. Basically, I can see networks being set up to support groups like what I described. But then if something does happen, unlike Ukraine, how do you continue to get supplies to those groups?
Yeah, for sure. And that definitely is a huge difference between those two scenarios. While there are lots of similarities, especially in rhetoric coming from the Russian government about Ukraine and the Ukrainian government compared to, CCP and the Taiwanese government, in terms of the actual logistics on the battlefield, it will be very, very different. And yeah, I don't think you would have the ability to, for instance, like Germany just said they're going to be sending tanks to Ukraine. That process is a heck of a lot less than what it would be shipping tanks to Taiwan, right? And you just have something that is more militarily and economically advanced. And Russia, yes, got all these sanctions and stuff, and yes, there has been some problem with gas and oil in Northern Europe and stuff, but like they've fared really well so far this whole winter, right? They've shown that we really don't need the Russian economy that much. whereas the Chinese economy is very much integrated into large parts of the world. And so that calculation for pissing them off, just so to speak, is a completely different one than the Russian economy. So.
Oh no, definitely.
But there's a thing called this. There's another thing though that might help on the Taiwan side. There's a China Malacca dilemma. Have you heard of this?
I don't think so.
Not familiar.
So the Strait of Malacca?
Yeah.
Right. So that is the Achilles heel of China, right? That's if you could stop that, China is like basically paralyzed, right?
Yeah, I see what you're talking
economically.
about.
So you might have issues with like getting aid to Taiwan, but also China has a problem as well because its enemies can really paralyze it just by closing that strait. And the fact that United States has so many allies there, like South Korea, Japan, Australia.
Yeah.
This is why, by the way, China's fears is not that, because sometimes we portray China as if it's going insane, but its paranoia makes a lot of sense. It basically, if the world powers are becoming so powerful, like militarily, and their economy is growing so fast, and they're all allies with each other, at some point, the fact that they have so much control over the Malacca Strait means that China has to bend the knee to all of these countries all the time, right? Because at any point they could basically paralyze it. And that is why China is so obsessed in maintaining control over around that area. And that's why it's trying to build military bases. It's not even necessarily to invade all these countries at some point. It just wants to make sure that other countries cannot bully it around. Again, I'm sounding like I'm a CCP.
I hear what you're saying, and I suppose it comes also down to not just military will, but political will. Because I mean, for example, if you look at the situation in Ukraine right now, without technically being directly involved in any fighting, but still being close enough that it makes a lot of politicians very, very paranoid and concerned.
Absolutely.
You could technically have NATO forces, on the border of Belarus, just to say, we're not getting involved, we are not fighting you actively, but we have people stationed here, just so you know that there won't be any incursions coming from Belarus.
And there's huge precedent throughout history for that. That has happened time and time and time again. So absolutely, that's not anything outside of the norm. That's something that standard has been a thing, right? Wars have been, won and lost simply because another country said, we're going to do military trainings close to this, site, right? So totally.
So okay, I asked ChatGPT to tell me about China's Malacca dilemma, and also I asked it to keep it short, and this is what I got. ChatGPT says China Malacca dilemma refers to China's reliance on the Strait of Malacca for the majority of its oil imports, which makes the country vulnerable to disruptions in the shipping lanes. As a result, China has been seeking to reduce its dependence on the strait by developing alternative routes and building up its naval presence in the region. So that is, just know that that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Susanna saying the all-knowing GPT pays them.
Yep.
It's so much easier than Google. You know why? I went to ChatGPT? Because I went on Google. I searched for China's Malacca dilemma, and I wasn't getting a straight answer. I was like, wait a minute, I have a better solution. This shows the superiority of ChatGPT over Google, right? I couldn't get a straight answer out of Google, but ChatGPT just made it so easy. Thank you.
Google gives you what you need to read or what you need to watch, and ChatGPT just summarizes it for you.
Yeah. It's so much more effective. By the way, it's going to be integrated into Bing, I think, which is, I never thought that we eventually are going to, Bing is going to be something that we're going to use now.
Right? How crazy would that be? I mean, that alone would just be the weird thing. So.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that'll be interesting to see. But anyway, so yeah, no, that was it. Just wanted to get one of those questions in. Great show as always, guys. And yeah, I'll be sure to tune in again next week.
Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Man.
Thank you. That was a great question.
All right.
And thank you again for the support.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Right. Thank you later. All right, we have a literal guru here, Guru Nathan. Hi, Guru Nathan.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, so I have an interesting question today.
Go on. What's your question?
Yeah. So so it's basically about religion and history. So when we talk about religions, I mean, we in the atheist community, we don't like religions because we look at all the horrible, barbaric stuff that are written in this text, whether it be the Torah, the Quran, or some of the Hindu texts or whatever. And we say that we don't want all of these practices in our society, which is totally valid. But do you wonder that? So okay, here's an example. Okay, so let's say you're living in the desert 4,000 years ago with your tribe. So you're basically isolated from the rest of the world. You don't have any technology. And you're completely exposed to nature, so you're totally vulnerable. So let's say, so obviously you need to have very strict norms in order to survive, right? So something like homosexuality, for example, could have easily led to the spread of disease, and your entire tribe could have probably been wiped out if there was no control on your behavior. So do you think that maybe back in the day, I mean not in modern times, but maybe thousands of years ago, maybe these strict, very harsh laws had some utility? And maybe
I don't
maybe it deserves more.
I don't think when looking at a lot of the prescriptions of religion, right, when looking at some of the things that the Quran says do and don't do, the Bible, Torah, yada yada, right, I think it's understandable why people came to certain conclusions, right? Like I do think it's understandable that they said, hey, drink this water, not this water, or don't eat this food, eat that food, right? Because they were doing their best to try and understand the things that were going on around them. And so it's like somebody ate a pig once and that person got really sick, and then they were like, oh, don't eat pigs, I guess they're bad for you, So I think in terms of like, is it understandable that they made these laws in the past? Like, yeah, totally. But also, like, I guess it's understandable at a certain point in time that like slavery was like a thing. But I don't think that means that that is good, right? Because it made sense for humans to do at one point in time. I don't think that means that it's something that we should continue to do or be proud of. So.
No, I get that. I'm not saying that it's something that we need to continue to do, but my point is that do you think that maybe it would have been unsustainable for people who lived long ago to have the same rights-based society that we have right now, that freedom and democracy? Maybe it would have been unsustainable if you're living in, let's say, in the desert 4,000 years ago.
I do think that religion had its utility. I just don't want people to use that as an excuse right now to say that it has a utility right now. Okay. I do think we wouldn't even have civilization. I don't even think we would have civilization without religion. So I do understand its utility back then. But I don't think the example you gave is a good example. Did you mention something about gay people?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, I'm not anti-gay or anything. Yeah, look, I'm not anti-gay or anything. I'm just saying that I mean, look, obviously, sexual activity is one way by which diseases can spread. So if you're living in nature, if you're not living in civilization long ago without any access to medical.
Okay, the utility of religion had its utilities before. This is not one of them.
Yeah.
This first of all,
no, but what if there was some let's say you're living in a small tribe, and
first of all, you would say about
homosexuality.
Yeah, sexual activity. First of all, you talked about homosexuality. Okay, homosexuality doesn't spread diseases more than heterosexuality. So the idea of banning homosexuality makes no sense ever.
Right.
Never made sense.
No, but obviously, if you look at some of the religions, it restricts heterosexual activity between one man and one woman
Yeah, but why
forever,
would?
right?
But why? Yeah, but you were specifically talking about homosexuality. I'm just saying, making homosexuality taboo had never benefited mankind.
Right. There's nothing inherently more dangerous or, you know, more potential for spreading disease in homosexuality versus heterosexuality. There are
No,
certain
look
sexual.
again. Look, here's the thing.
No, hang on.
I'm not talking about modern society.
Yeah, but hang on. Just real
Even
quick,
back
just
then,
to
it
make
made no sense.
right, just to kind of make a finer point on this is that there are certain sexual acts that may have more of a risk of spreading disease, but those acts can be performed by homosexuals and heterosexuals. It doesn't matter. It you know, but in terms of just being attracted to a man as a man or to a woman as a woman, that in and of itself doesn't have any extra risks that being attracted to
No,
other
I'm
people,
talking about.
right?
I'm talking about indulging in the act, right? So again, if you're living in the forest,
Yeah, but you
thousands of years
specifically
ago,
mentioned
it's so easy to
homosexuality.
contact disease. Exactly. So it's very easy to, let's say, contract diseases and just spread it, right? So you need it. I mean, the only time
Okay.
where sex had its utility was for reproductive purposes, right? So maybe restricting all other activities that didn't result in reproduction made sense back then. Again, I'm not
No, it
talking
made
about
no sense.
modern society.
The rules religion had over sexuality was not about stopping diseases. It was about maintaining control over women. Right.
Yeah.
So this is not like it was not a disease stopping measurement.
It's kind of like whenever
no,
you
but
hear
we don't know that, right? Because we didn't.
We
Because
do know that.
No, but if you lived thousands of years ago, maybe it was necessary, right? I don't know.
No, it wasn't. No. It wasn't. First of all, the diseases that we had back then, it was not sexual transmitted diseases. Okay, sexual transmitted diseases was something that came much later, right? We had diseases that were spreading back then. They were spreading through rats and other methods. You know, so this sexual transmitted diseases are more of a modern problem. But yeah, it had nothing. The rules had nothing to do with stopping diseases. They didn't even know if sex transmits disease. This was about maintaining certain societal structures.
That could have just been seen by observation, right? That
no, they didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay,
but
look.
hang
I'm
on a
saying
second.
somebody.
Guru Nathan, hold on a second. It's kind of like when you hear one of the Dawa apologists say, "Look how great Islam is because it bans the consumption of alcohol, which saved all of these pregnant women from causing fetal alcohol syndrome to their babies," right? That was never the intention of that prescription. It is something that resulted because of the consequence, and one could argue, hey, these religious societies that had these strict laws on sexuality and sexual acts, like in the long run had less diseases and so forth, but the actual law itself did not care about that. That was not the reason to do that. It was because there was this whole holiness spiritual thing to it. God said, do this.
Look, okay. Here's the thing. Like, we don't know that because look, if you say that you're an atheist, then you're acknowledging that these laws aren't by God and these are actually man-made laws, right? So we don't know who wrote these things. We don't know who wrote the Quran. We don't know who wrote the Torah.
No. It doesn't matter who the individual was that wrote it. We have them telling us the reason that they're writing it. If somebody comes up to you and says, the reason that I painted my house blue is because I like blue, that is them telling you their reason. And you can argue later on that them changing the color of their house to blue ultimately saved on energy consumption and was a good thing for the environment as a whole. But when we asked that person specifically, their response was, because I like this color. So all the other things that come from it, while maybe good, that was not the original intention, right? It's like if we make a law that says we're going to criminalize...
Okay, we're over time.
Yeah, sorry.
We're over time.
Okay.
Okay.
But just before I leave, I just want to say that look, I'm not homophobic or anything. I just had a question. That's all.
No. We weren't accusing. No. I hope you didn't think we were accusing you of homophobia. We were.
No. I was just trying to sort of get it across.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for your question.
Thanks.
Okay, Sepper wanted to ask one more question. Sepper, we have to go very fast because we're really over time. So what's your question?
Yeah, no worries. I'm wondering if you guys have heard of or know of Peter Zahan.
No, who is he?
So he was on a podcast I was listening to, and I can't. He talked about a lot of things. I can't fully summarize everything, but he's seems to be well respected and also well disrespected in the kind of economics, academia, and whatnot. But he says that China's population is not sustainable, and he seems to think that within 10 or 15 years, China and Russia, because of their population decline and them not being able to replace their aging population, they might be going all the way downhill, and they can't save themselves.
Sounds like a conspiracy theorist.
I mean, China is definitely having concerns about its population,
but China will have many problems in the future, but it's not going to break apart. It's going to be China is not going to like collapse or anything. If anybody is telling you, okay, two groups of people, if they end up being correct, it was completely accidental. They had no idea what they're talking about. Those who are saying China will take over United States soon over being a superpower, okay, they're exaggerating. And those people who are saying China is going to collapse very soon, they're exaggerating as well. China is going to have a lot of problems. It's going to be, even with all of the problems that it's going to have, it's going to continue being a major economic power and major political influence, and also a major military power in the future. It's not going to replace the US. It's not going to completely collapse. It's going to have many problems, but it will continue to have a lot of influence and power.
Right. I mean, he has a whole book about it. So, I mean, it might be worth, if you're interested, it might be worth a look. It seems like something that might be up your alley.
Yeah, I would be interested in that. I do consume a lot of different theories from all sides, and I tend to see that a lot of people get more audience when something is exaggerated. So I'm very skeptical.
Sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, he just says it so confidently, and he seems to be respected in some circles. And so it might be worth a look at. I would be curious to know your thoughts. I don't think I'm academically inclined enough to know if he's talking shit, but maybe you guys would be able to.
So there's let me suggest a channel to you. I forgot where it is. It's a very it's a channel that covers everything scientifically when it comes to economics, and it does a very good job at explaining to you. Oh, is it econ? No. If I find it, I'll let you know the next time. But it does a very good job at explaining things to you with economically, and every time somebody comes and says something like this, it goes and looks into the data and sees that it's not really as black and white, and a lot of people make it seem to be. See, like when you see America is having a lot of problems in the future, okay, you could either like analyze the problems and see what's going to happen, but a lot of people are going to use that to see like, oh, United States is going to collapse soon. Okay, but which one do you think is going to sell more? If I say United States is going to have these problems, and these problems in the future, or if I have a book title telling you that it's over, like the whole United States is going to break apart, there's going to be internal war happening very soon, civil war and everything, and the dollar is going to completely collapse, everyone's going to go poor. That is more interesting, so that's going to sell. Same thing with China, right? If I want to sell a book, I either have to say China is going to be our overlords and we all have to learn Chinese, or I have to tell everybody that China is going to completely collapse. Anything between these two is not going to sell.
That's a great point for sure.
Right.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, the New York Times bestsellers list really screwed up our incentives on publishing. So,
great point for sure.
All right. Well, we have to go. We're like 40 minutes over time.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks you so much, Super. Yeah. for people who are not aware, we don't pay Secular Rarity. So I know it seems otherwise, right?
Yeah.
But given that we're so rich and all, but we have used like, I'm sorry for going over time. By the way, guys,
I'm good.
Yeah, guys, please consider subscribing to, following Secular Rarity everywhere that he is. Do we have you? Let me
It's in the description.
Yeah,
it's
is
in
it?
a little link tree? Yeah, all my little stuff.
Okay, let me see. Okay, let me make sure that we have it there. Do we have it? Because that would be very embarrassing if we don't have it. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
guys. Secular Rarity's link tree is in the description, so go follow him everywhere that he is, please. That's the only way we could reward him. But if Atheist Republic one day becomes rich, we will definitely put Secular Rarity on a payroll or something.
I have really bad negotiating skills. Armin was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Oh, we can't pay you." And I was like, "Damn." So that's where we are, folks. But no, seriously.
That's why I get nervous when we go overtime, because I'm like, oh my god, we're taking advantage of his time.
I'm okay. I'll let you know if I have like a hard cutoff or anything. But look, seriously, if y'all are excited and you're like, man, how do we pay this old SR guy back? Just start sharing these videos. Just share them around to people. Like, seriously, post them up on Facebook or YouTube and just say, hey, we got a fun community. We got all kinds of people from all over the world and all walks of life. We've got Murtads, we've got Christians, we've got fascists. We've got it all, folks. We've got it all here. So
music guy saying
shares, yeah.
Give him company shares. Well, we're a non-profit, so we don't have shares.
That's okay. I'll take
I'll put them on the
I'll take a cut of that non-profit, I guess. Like 1% of zero is still zero, right? Whatever.
Right. But guys, make sure you like the video again and subscribe. We told you that this is haram. You watched a video without our consent if you did not like the video. So this stream was you violated our consent. Okay.
Wow.
So we will see you in the afterlife, and you have to be. This is how it works. But like I say this on the Persian show, and it works. Like, I will haram this show upon you if you don't like this video. Is that how I do it?
That's good.
People are like, damn it, now you have to like it, because it's not Islamically legal for me to watch this anymore. Oh wow, we got another super chat. See, this is good that we're rambling, because if I had ended the stream, we wouldn't.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Secular Psychiatrist gave us another $2 super chat. Thank you for your support, guys. If you're not struggling financially, you could give us super chats. You could become a YouTube member. You could become a patron. Or you could support us on PayPal. Link to all of that is in the description. Also, there's something that you could do that is free, is that you could subscribe to our newsletter. We have gorgeous, beautiful, blasphemous art, sexy blasphemous art, better blasphemous art than Charlie Hebdo, right? Much better. I don't even know why they're famous. We should be famous. We have much better blasphemous art than ours is sexy. Their art is weird. I do support them. Yeah, but ours is much more appealing. Yeah, so it's available for free. Okay, so if you want to see all of that, subscribe to our newsletter. Link in the description, right? Where it says "Get our blasphemous art for free." That's where you get it. Anyways, I should keep saying that we're better than Charlie Hebdo. I think that's controversial.
I like it. Yeah. Maybe they'll pick it up, and then it'll be just like a back and forth type of thing. It's getting even more.
Yeah. All right, guys. Love you guys. Oh no, this is cultish behavior. I like you very much. I do not love you. I like you very much. I appreciate your support, and see you guys again very soon. Bye.